that child will get into trouble. And the thing is, we also don't want to see our mothers hurting. It's very tough to go through that type of situation, but arranged, love them, don't try to control it, don't try to, yeah. Boakape says, that's why I wish my ex-husband a long and successful No, you cannot wish him a single life. We all deserve to be happy. Imagine when he's like 16 and still single. And now he's sick, he's got ailments, he doesn't have a partner, he doesn't have anyone to enjoy life with. Everybody deserves to be happy, guys. And remember, we are all children of God. As much as we are all sinners and you think the other has sinned more than you, we are all children of God. We all deserve forgiveness from the Father. We all deserve our gifts to be handed over to us by the Lord our God. God loves all his children. God forgives all his children. So who are we to say some don't deserve relationships? But I understand you. It becomes so complex. It becomes type of things. And I think the biggest mistakes that we make, and I was having a conversation with someone else around blended families in the world, we were talking, and they have this like relaxed relationship, right, with the father of the child. They come in the house, they walk right through the house is almost, they don't live there, there's no romantic, come walk through the house, they can even walk to the bedrooms, they're not doing anything, they're just like, oh, where are you? No, I'm in the room. Now imagine you have a husband now, or a boy, and you have a big chat. Nothing is going on, nothing romantic, nothing malicious is happening. But that's where the problem starts, is that we don't set boundaries while we are single. And then when we get into relationships, we want to change things and then find our partners struggling, or ourselves struggling, or the ex struggling now with these new boundaries. Late. Yeah, I told you. Yes, sweetheart. That's exactly what I said. And it was purposely done, because you're not going to have a perfect Christmas. And then he changed it. She changed minds after saying he was not coming. You see? It's exactly, I know exactly how these situations play out. And people always want to blame the stepmom. I actually think stepfathers have it easier than stepmoms, because people want to drive. I don't know whether I should blame the Cinderella story, but people want to blame the stepmoms for everything. It's always the stepmom's fault. I don't want them to have a stepmom. I pray that by the time you do get a stepmom in your life, that you will be healed, my darling, and at a point where you can accept that he is moving on. I hope it happens at the right timing for you. Most baby daddy and mummies are chowing each other. Not true. But you're saying most, so I'm gonna leave it there. You're saying most. I'm gonna leave it there. I don't know, because it depends on where you live. It depends on your values. It depends on your upbringing. So I won't necessarily agree or disagree with that. In the world that I'm exposed to, it's not that much, but I understand in different scenarios and circumstances it can happen. Okay, so many comments. She won't. Guys, if I've missed your comments, I'm trying so hard because I wasn't getting a lot of comments. Tito, can I request? Ntwake, you will request. I think in the next 30 minutes I should be done. So at 7 o'clock we will have a big fat chat. So everyone who's requesting at 7 o'clock, we'll have a big fat chat about it. Maybe she'll be there for him. Okay, she won't set boundaries because she has a reserved space for him. Wow. Most baby, okay. I see, it's a build on. It's okay for baby mama to check her baby on her baby even when he is married. Yes, you can check your child, but it also depends. So for me, when my child was still very small, there will be times where I would talk to her dad. But as soon as my daughter became slightly older and she could handle a phone, not that she would keep a phone on her 24/7, but that phone would be the form of communication. So instead of just constantly calling her dad, when I call that phone, then the phone is taken to her so that she can speak to me, and vice versa. And it worked. And I think even before she had a phone, if I knew it was him, I'd just take the phone and give it directly to my daughter so that they can chat. But I also, there was a time where, because I move around a lot, I think I've said this, there was a time where my daughter was with my mother and he was somewhere in the country, I was somewhere else in the country, and we would do conference calling, but we were no longer together. But this was like early stages of the breakup. We'll do conference calling, but the reason why we did that was so to give my daughter that security that your parents are there for you. But it won't do much for you if you're in a relationship and you're constantly conference calling with your ex. So eventually, at some stage, I had to, be like, this thing is not helping. It's not right because you're giving the child the wrong impression. That's the other thing. So it had to stop, but someone has to stop it. But nicely, it doesn't have to be a fight. Slowly, easy. You can start to set those boundaries, Sammy. Is it okay for baby mama to check on her baby on her baby daddy, even when, why are you checking on your baby daddy? Oh, I thought you meant the baby, sweetheart. No, man. Why are you checking on your baby daddy for what? But some people do become friends. And that's why, as the third person, so now there's these two people who are together, they've become friends. They understand that they're no longer together. And you coming in as the girlfriend, you need to also understand the situation you're getting yourself into. And you need to now assess if for yourself that situation is going to work. It's very important because we want to get ourselves into these relationships where we know we're not going to cope. If they have that kind of relationship and he's okay with it and he's always been okay with it, and even when you bring it to his attention that this is odd and he thinks it's okay, then you need to check yourself. Does this work for me? Is this the type of relationship I want to be in? Do I want to be in a relationship with a person who is friends with his ex? Because sometimes it's healthy for them and their child. And if a person with the right type of maturity comes into that relationship, and let me not say maturity, but mindset comes into that relationship, so we're all different. Maybe that person could come in and be best friends with the biological mom and carry on, and the relationship will be perfect. It can happen. It does happen. Because some people have kids when they're in high school and they don't hate each other. It just happened in high school and it was a mistake. And parents said, you know what, we will take care of this child. So the relationship continues because families are even friends. There's a lot of different scenarios and situations that end you there. I would never be intimate with an ex-husband. Yeah, same, Swazi. Aye. Sammy's having a hard time with this subject. And security for your current partner. Yeah, it's important. Yes. Boundaries are important. That's maturity right there, baby daddy. Okay. Scenarios and the complexities that make scheduling holiday time so difficult in a blended family. It makes it so difficult. So the topic for today, just to give you guys some reference again, is how do we start the new year strong? And we first were reflecting on the holidays and how do we make the holidays work, and then moving forward with that. Emotional struggles for children, feeling torn between families. We've spoken about that. Children feel torn. And it's worse with the situation that Sweetheart has just mentioned, because I am telling you now, if that mom only took her child last minute to her dad, those discussions even happened with the child. Probably it got to a point where the child threw tantrums in order for that child to be with their father. And don't they feel torn? Because even when you throw tantrums and you end up going to where you said you want to go as a child, once you're there, you're like, ish, but when I left my mom, she was not okay. Imagine that burden and guilt that you're putting on your child. Top of the morning, you remind me of my ex-boss. Hello, broke cheese boy. Just think about that burden that you've left that child with. Guys, we can be very, very selfish as parents, especially when we're only focusing on these relationships that we are having as adults, not thinking about how our adult relationships are impacting on those children. And remember, those children that little boy was wearing different pajamas to are his siblings. The resentment he's going to have for those children, the relationship that those kids are going to have, it's going to be such a strained relationship, because we are causing the resentment. Okay. Differing parenting styles causing tension, like when one household gives extravagant gifts while the other keeps it simple. I think I also mentioned, I feel like I've covered everything in my conversation. I think I covered this. I think I've also mentioned that kids' household is what, that this is what we do and this is how we do things in this household. But there is that thing of the one parent, especially with the extravagant gifts, where the one parent who doesn't actually, and especially when it's a financial constraint. So there's a difference. Guys, focus. What is happening? So when there's a difference in income, it becomes a problem. But when there's no difference in income and it's just a personal choice of the other household not to buy extravagant gifts, it doesn't really cut that deep. But for the parents, PlayStation 13, I don't know how many of them are there. The last time I played PlayStation was when there was PlayStation 3 or something, or 1 or 2. I can't remember, it was 2008 or 9 when I had PlayStation. But that cannot afford to do this. You can, and you are making me look bad. And it always seems like the parent who is more affluent is doing it to sort of like rub it in the parent's face that is less affluent. It happens. And we need to work through those feelings ourselves. But now, if you are the parent that's more affluent and you see this happening, how do you meet the other parent in between? How do you make them understand? And sometimes some people are impossible to talk to. Some people are impossible to talk to. Yes, stepmom must buy for everyone. That's what you've signed up for. That's what you've signed up for. And the worst thing is that if you have, like, let's say you now and your husband have like 3 or 4 kids, and bio mom still has the one kid, bio mom will do for that one child, and you still have to split the money amongst the 4 kids. Love my maths. It's just how it works. You chose. That's the thing about choosing to be in a blended family. It's a choice. So there's the choice that you've made because you fell in love with this gent, right? You fell in love with this gent, and he has, to a woman with 3 kids already. He has 3, yes, if you marry a woman with 3 kids, because we only talk about bio mom, even dads, it's the same. If you marry a woman with 3 kids to give them a Christmas, All four of them, these three that came with with your wife, and the one that is her child from a previous relationship, all four kids are your responsibility. And if these three kids' father has no obligation or responsibility, that's where their contract or engagement started and ended, right? And the term step, that's English. That's all I'm gonna leave it at. That's English. I prefer to say bonus, but when I say bonus, people get confused. So I'm using the dictionary term. That's where I'm gonna leave it. So, because like I said, my daughter had a phone at a young age. Social media has always been an issue for me. I don't believe kids should be having access to phones. So that's the first thing. But because of my situation, it had to happen. And the biggest fight was social media. And it's an old teen. She does have social media, but she's also learned, because I've had conversations. Surviving the new year together. How do we survive this new year? We know the issues that we have. We know the issues that we're facing, right? The holidays are behind us. How do we survive this new year? And I would actually suggest to you, start planning now for December. Start putting things in place now. I'm not saying, especially when you're dealing with a toxic bio parent, I'm not saying tell them all your plans now, but find a way of pitching this in a way that doesn't make them feel like their power is being taken away, because this thing is usually a power struggle. Yes, why should you be rubbing it somebody else's emotions and egos and whatever? But Sizotin, what is more important here is that you win the argument, or you get the kids, or you get things done for your kids right. And at some stage, we need to get their way. It's not about winning the argument. It's not about your ego. It's not about winning the fight or whatever the person is doing. It's about doing what's right for your children. I know there was one mom who was like, you know what? Sometimes we're always talking about how we should be putting our feelings aside. Definitely, you are also human. You also deserve the respect. You also deserve the love. You also need some emotional support. But you are older. You can go for therapy. You can talk to friends. You can find ways of healing this. And when you go for therapy, then you get mechanisms and tools on how to deal and manage the situation. So we're not saying put your children first and that's it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying put your children first, right? But self-awareness. I'm not sure what's happening. Guys, please like the live. Ish. TikTok will be the death of me. Please like the live, share the live. There's only one share, and that one share is just me. I know, because I shared the live with one group. So please like the live, share the live, so that we can get some movement. I know it's January, you can't gift me, but let us at least like the live and share the live so that we can continue. So each and every time we talk about open communication, and this has been, so this I've put it up on my blog, on my blogs, on my website. The link is on my bio. You can check that. So if you want to read through it again, you will find it there. Open communication, right? Like I said, understand your expectations, have plans in place, but also knowing when to pitch those plans. Understanding who you are dealing with and how to communicate with them. What is step parenting? Why do we say step? Some say it's stepping up to a new task of raising children that are not yours. Some are saying it's knowing that you are there, but you are on the side and knowing your place. And then the unified school prep, coordinating how you prepare for school for that child. Because January is also a bit of a problem for a lot of us, because you're not sure who's going to do what. You're not sure whether it's going to send money. Fees. How much school fees can you pay this year? Extracurricular. If it's extracurricular that needs to be paid for, who's meant to pay for it? And if you're dealing with someone who's difficult, find ways. And I think maybe it's a conversation for another day. How do you deal with someone who is difficult? And then making sure you focus on the kids. Let go of past holiday tensions and focus on what's best for them. Focus on how do you navigate things differently in the new year. Take the lessons, because I mean, even last year you had issues, right? Take the lessons from last year and see how do you navigate that differently. So for example, if last year you found yourself paying full school fees, try and text, call, or email, depending on your communication line, and just break it down and say, this is how things played out last year. This is how I would like things to play out this year. This is what I've done. This is what I would require you to do. And see what they do. What they decide to do after that it's their choice. It's their decision. Unfortunately, we can't force them. And one thing that I've learned, if you are in a blended family, even if you go to court, court system is flawed. You can go to court over and over and over again. If you're dealing with a difficult person, they don't mind going to court every other month. You'll just be going back and forth. So it's up to you and the energy that you have to get things right. Sometimes some of us are like, I'm a slow burn. I will let things burn very slowly and let things ease into normality on their own. And just like this book, actually I wanted to share it with you. I know I've shared it on my, like this book says, small atomic habits. So atoms are small things. Molecules are small things that make up atoms. So some people always think atomic means like these atomic bombs that you see, you know, but atoms are very small things that come together to make this big explosion. So I always believed, and when I read this book, I'm like, these principles, I'm already practicing them. But I've always believed that sometimes you just need to do things, ease people into things, start taking something away, start doing little things differently, and eventually you'll find that by like in 5 years times, atoms and molecules, yeah, in about 5 years time, all these things will build up and make something amazing. I am a geologist, so I also believe in crystallization. Things take time to crystallize. Some of the things we see today were started coming together millions of years ago. But let's not talk geology, because that's another debate. It will bring in the Christianity debate versus science debate, and I don't want to go there, because we say the world, the universe developed so many billion years ago, and then people will say, no, the Bible says this, and I'm a believer, by the way. So I don't want to go into that topic. So it's important for you to really look into that. How do you release that tension, right? So preparing for that better year, right? How do we prepare ourselves to be successful in this year? What is key for us to focus on? I've mentioned this, reflecting back on what has worked for you in the last year. What has worked, what hasn't worked, strategize. We draw vision boards. Oh guys, I know a lot of you didn't join my vision boarding session, my retreat. Let me say retreat, where we had vision boarding in that retreat. But the reason why I do this, because it's not a want, I do it now. I do it. I did do it on lives before on Instagram, but I just started doing face-to-face last year. And the reason why for me it's so important, it's because we are not intentional about how we raise our families. We're not intentional about how we bring up our kids in our families. We're not intentional about it. We just think things are going to flow, and we focus on the problems, we focus on the issues, but we don't really strategize on how we're going to do better as a blended family. And you know, one other critical thing, especially because we've been talking about step parents here, I've just said, bio moms have the biggest power, I think, in this blended family space. And then comes the bio parent, the father, because they never say bio father. who's the father. And then comes the step parent. If your partner, whether you're married to the mom or the dad, if your partner does not have control over the situation, trust me, there will be no control that you're going to have as a step parent. If your partner has not set the right boundaries with their ex, with their biological children, there is not much you can do as a partner to fix that. There isn't. Because it first starts with the other bio parent, how they see the situation, whether they want to see the situation differently, right? And then secondly, it's the ex to that bio parent who is your partner now, him or her being able to manage that situation. Yes, you can support them to manage it, but it's their willingness, it's their mindset, it's their values. Those little things should indicate to you whether or not you will survive that relationship, because there is not much you can do as a step parent to build that relationship or to fix those relationships. So like Untwaki was saying, her stepchild is just out of control because biological mom is influencing in this way and that way. If Ntwaki's partner does not have control over that situation, if he doesn't put his foot down, if he doesn't discipline his child, and he doesn't say, not in my house, this is not going to happen, this is how you behave as a child. If he does not have that in place, there is not much you can do. It doesn't determine whether your relationship with your partner will survive or not, but it determines whether you're going to have peace in that relationship in terms of the relationship between you and your stepchildren, and and how you relate with the co-parent on the other end, whether there'll be peace there. Okay, in closing, guys, I'm closing now, right? I don't believe in sharing, so I don't believe in sharing too much information, because we know co-parenting is complex, but we need to be able to just identify, especially days that are important. How are we going to manage birthdays? How are we going to manage holidays? How are we going to manage this? Like I said, for me, it's always been organic. It's always been like, now my daughter's like, midterm holidays, mom, I want to come and spend them with you. Cool, but she's 16. For someone else who the child is still young, it depends. And also, guys, let's be human about this. Sometimes parents don't have the financial capacity to take care of the kids, especially during holidays. So if you're the parent at that time that has a bit of money, just do what's right for your child. Because umuntu wesilisa noma umuntu wesifazane ahlale nemali every year. Years are not the same. Situations are not the same. We go through our ups and downs in life, and we need to be cognizant of that and sibe nobuntu when it comes to those things. And then lastly, right, you need to take care of yourself. I spoke about this earlier. Take care of yourself. Make sure that you are okay. Whether you're a bio parent, whether you're a step parent, in a co-parenting relationship, in a blended family, you really need to take care of yourself. You are old enough to know that right now I'm not okay. There's preachers, there's churches, there's therapists, there's friendships, there's family, there's resources on the internet that you can use to help yourself heal emotionally. But there's also the self-care part where you just need to take a break. If you drink wine, I know they're just going to be against this. Have your glass of wine by yourself. Have those moments where you just take time out, be alone, breathe. Guys, breathe, because you need to breathe. And also know when to give it space and time, because sometimes we want to fix things right there and then. And I'm also one of those who wants to fix things now, because in my environment, I always come up with solutions. I'm in an environment where it's process driven, it's solutions driven. If something doesn't come right, I find a solution now. But not everybody will want to find the solution now. Some people want to revel in that. I'm denied access to my kids. I'm so sorry, Shirley. And you're not the only one. I'm so sorry. It's such a common thing, and I didn't think that in this day and age we'd still be seeing this. It's such a common thing. But take time to take care of yourself, please. You are just as important as those kids, but in order for you to be able to prioritize those kids, you need to be emotionally, mentally, and physically okay. Go to the gym if you need to. Take that rest day. Run that bubble bath on a Sunday or weekly or daily, even depending on your time schedule and everything. Sometimes take time off to just relax your mind, because we pay so much attention, especially in these spaces, because there's always so much tension. So we always want to fix things. We always want to sort things out. But sometimes it's not for you. Maybe you need to go back and just pray about it and leave it to God and for God, and take care of yourself and say God will sort it out, because you've done everything in your power to resolve the situation. Shirley, I'm coming to you now. It's 7 o'clock. I did say I'll bring people up. So if you have any questions about this, any insights that you want to share on this, do come up. I do see that we have one request. The other request has gone off. I did say 7 o'clock though. I did. So really, let's try and think about things differently this year. Let's work on our previous mistakes from previous years, because none of us is perfect. We've all made mistakes. We continue to make mistakes, but let's learn from them and grow from that and try to do things differently. Yeah, that's it. Yes. So if you want to come up, please do come up. Let's chat. Let me just share my topic again. And Shirley, if you want to come up, you can as well. I mean, it is a new year. Maybe it will help you to be able to start stronger this year. But like people are saying, the court system is the first starting point, because I always say, fight for your children. Because if you don't, and you allow the morning Lawrence, and you allow this situation to overwhelm you, and you don't do anything about it, what are you going to say to your kids in the future? What are you going to say to your kids in the future? We cannot consistently say, oh no, your mom kept me away from you. So what did you do, Dad? Did you talk to my mom? Did you email my mom? Did you go to court? Because, I mean, these kids, yes, Lisa, they will ask. Because, you know, one thing that my daughter said, because I have these conversations with my daughter sometimes, and I'm like, yo, guys, you know, I feel so bad for you guys. And she's like, you know, Ma, in our class, 80% of the kids are actually, their parents are not together. It's just a normal thing. That's what she said to me. It's like 80%. I think she's like, actually, maybe there's like 2 black girls that whose parents are married, and it's just the mom and the dad, and the kids in the house is just their kids. That's what she said to me. And you know what that says? They talk about how much their parents fight for them. They talk about how much their dad does for them, regardless. They will talk that, oh no, my mom throws tantrums, my mom does this, but my dad came anyways and got me. My dad came anyways and did this, and that. And then they will ask, but Dad, you didn't do anything. You did not do anything. Yeah, they won't buy your story. And the moms have influenced them already. My son is 5 and he already knows that his dad won't always call daily. Blessed New Year to you too, Magdalene. Lovely to see you. I tried with the courts, but aren't helping. I came to understand that courts are always with Mom. Then Lisa says, he said to him, you break my heart. You don't call me. His dad cried for days. Oh man. Shirley, your best court should we got, yeah, okay. Let me, anyone else who wants to come up and ask a question or give their insights, please let me know. Or you can also continue on the chat. These kids discuss everything, even step parents' treatments. They compare. Hey, they compare notes. Mina, I think the thing that I'm lucky because I talk to my daughter about these things. But you're absolutely right, man. You are absolutely bakhuluma yonke into, and you will be the topic of discussion. He did not do this, he did not do that, and he did not bother, right? So Sherry, if you do want to come up, it's a pity that we don't have Ubongani or Rahadi here, because Ubongani understands the law much better than I do. He usually joins my lives, but I guess it's my first live. But I would suggest to you to continue joining the lives, and you will get the support that you need on how to get through it. Because even with the court systems, it depends. How far are you with the court systems? Did you get a parent? Because you start with a social worker, and then from the social worker discussions, then you develop a parenting plan, and then from there it's the maintenance plan. And once the maintenance plan is done, then everybody needs to stick to it. The only issue is that what I've learned from the court systems is that once someone defaults from any of those plans, you need to now go to the police, which then causes a bit of tension. And I think it's up to us, guys. There's 50 of us here, and I think most of us are in blended families. You cannot bring cops, guys, to a house that your child is staying in. You cannot do that. Imagine the trauma. The cops came and took my mom because my dad wanted blah blah blah. Guys, the court systems needs to do differently. Seriously, mornings. I always say it's important. It's important to prioritize our kids and love and protect them. Yeah. I hear you, Sihle. I hear you very well. And the difficulty in that is that we try, but you're not alone in this. Anyways, Mleje, Budwami Unjani, how are you doing? Welcome.
Morning, unjani sisi?
Ngiyaphila unjani?
Ngiyaphila ulale kahle.
Kahle kakhulu.
Yazi bengifisa ukusho nje uvo nje oluncane ukuthi I think as families we have lost the power of family. We've lost what it means to be families. Especially with the situation that says everything that doesn't go well or right in the family, the state has to be involved. And when you look at the state, in most cases, it's business. The more people break up, it's business to them, it's money to them. The more people separate, the more people fight. For me, I would never understand the terminology or the strategy of a state coming to family. And I'm going to move that to another statement that says everything now, if kunem nginga emakhaya, so khona nabafana bamacameras or jubu, the entire nation has to know that this family has a problem. Now everything is now being screened to a discussion. Then every South African has to know. People can call me old version or old whatever times. Dala ihlazo lasekhaya lalufihlwa. Ekhaya, it was being sorted in the homes. There were uncles and all bekhona omalume omkhulu ogogo who were known to fix inkinga. Now, some may say it's no longer like that, which is a fact indeed, but can't we carry that which our forefathers and our parents did right and carry it with our generation? Because it seems like izinto ayihambi kahle. I'm not a fan of lawyers and judges. I'm not a fan of lawyers and judges. My apologies if there are any here. I'm a fan of family being able to fix their own problems without an outsider. That's my principle. We should find ways in whichever way we can to humble ourselves and be able to fix whatever problem that we have. Ngoba if ngizovumela ukhabazela wena, you've got your surname and you've got the surname that you are married into. Now I'm coming to sort out your family problems, your lineage problems, which needs to be actually sorted out ngendlela amicably, ngendlela enesotho, indlela ethobekile. So I'm saying we have lost the value of what it means to run families to a point we've allowed the system to actually dictate to us on how to live. Now, the system has done that, and it's crippling families now and again and again and again. Why should you wait for the court to say the baby daddy has a right to see the child? Why should you wait the court to tell you that you need to support your child? Why? Where's your conscience? Where's your
But the
heart?
issue, but the issue there is not waiting for the baby for the court to say, because actually when I started my life, I was even saying, for me, I've never had to do that because it's always just been organic. It's always been like,
Exactly.
oh, you're available, I'm not available. Ungakwazi, yes I can. Ngeke ngikwazi, asicheck nogogo. Yabo. But esikhathini esiningi you find that it's because we are not healed. So you find that most times we will keep ubaba wengane away, right?
Yep, yep.
On purpose.
Yes.
Because we're thinking if we do that, it will hurt them. And if it hurts them, they might come back. Or
Yeah,
even if they don't come back, but they must never have happiness, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Then only then the court system comes into place because Tina Siso Babili, we are refusing to get along.
Yes.
Number one, or one of us is refusing to get along. So the one will say, let me go to court. Some men, when it comes to child maintenance, some men are out there making babies left, right, and center, and they are not taking accountability for their kids.
Yeah, boy.
Some of them have just one or two kids, but still they look at these kids as they're taking away from my money, so I'm not gonna bother. I'm living my best life. I'm wearing Gucci, and Gucci now seems like every corner you turn, everybody's wearing Gucci. I'm wearing Gucci, I'm wearing Louis Vuitton. These kids are stalling me. I'm not gonna. So then the mom goes to court. But sometimes with fathers, some of them are not paying child maintenance because some of them like I just forgot the name now, the gentleman that was speaking now, I don't have access to my children. So some of them will say it's been 6 years or 10 years, I've not seen nor even had a phone call from my child. Why am I paying child maintenance? And they went to court, they spoke to the courts, and then the court says, take the cops if you want to, because this is outside of our control. Like Sweetheart has said now, the police station thing happened with her niece. She cried and doesn't want to see her dad anymore. Because your dad traumatized your mom, and your mom is their first
Yeah,
love.
yeah,
Yabo.
yeah.
So inzima lento because I think the biggest problem starts with us. And then
Exactly.
secondly, Joe, which is our families are not the same. The same uncles and aunts that you're talking about, no go, they don't wish people well. Families are broken. So manje uzobalekela kuba ngoba uzothi uyagogo. And I think there was a situation before where someone said, I went to my mom and my grand and they spoke to the mother of my child, but the mother of the child was rude. And then they went to the family. The family was also just rude. They were like, bring the uncles. And they're like, but why are we bringing the uncles? Because it's not marriage. We just want to, because when you bring the uncles, it's setting the wrong precedence. You
Yeah,
see.
yeah. Yeah, ila engithikabazela inkinga ikuthina as families, as people that have decided to procreate. So when the government steps up, it's stepping up for something that you have failed to do, which you are failing to do, which of course it's now difficult because ubuntu abseko, uthando
Abu.
abseko, respect is no longer there. So at the end of the day, we'll end up being subjected to what the system has created. Because at the end of the day, when you are saying asihlale phansi sikhulume, take responsibility of your actions, yenza lokho okumele ukwenze as an individual, as a parent, you really you don't necessarily need someone to push you. if you know what you've got a responsibility. Hence, I'm saying everything is in the mind, it's in the heart. You need to take responsibility of your actions and know what to come in. Yazi, umethi singane abantu. Ngenza 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. What do I need to do? I need to do what is right. Yeah, I think whatever we are facing, it is because of we are suffering ungalaleli abadala abazali who would say don't do this before this, don't do that before that. But we're here now, we need solutions. It's like blended families that are coming in and be able to discuss such issues and situations to be able to find solutions at the end of the day. Kodwa the courts might be there and people might arrest each other and everything, but my point is, where's your heart?
I
You
don't
need
think that the courts are definitely not the solution.
the, this is where I am, Kabazel. They are not the solution. Why? The system as a whole, it is not designed to make your family happy. It is not designed to keep the families together. Why? Because when families are united, you are powerful more than the state itself. You are able to maintain principles and rules. Let's say, for example, nginengane mina, as a man, I need to take responsibility of my actions. I need to do what I need. I need to be able to step up and be able to find solutions because the courts as well, they take sides. Maybe ubaba wengane wrong, akhokhe imali. Maybe uma wengane wrong. But all that we are doing, I remember Izolo ngeke live. So they were fighting men and women. Hey, Nina, my daughter, this and that. I'm like, guys, what are we doing? What are we doing? We know there are men who are not doing things right. We know there are women who are not doing things right. Why can't we find a common ground? Why can't we find solutions and say, I need to take responsibility for my actions? Let us stop this whole noise. Amadoda izinto, abafazi ifebe, this, all those name calling each other and say, and behave as matured people and be able to find solution to every problem that we have. If we do that, we are going somewhere.
I totally agree with that. I think that's the way we're supposed to do things. And you know, la my life, la nje, and even the posts that you see sometimes on social media, men against women, it's the most heartbreaking thing because it's still promoting the separation between men and women,
Definitely.
still promoting ukuthi thina we don't get along. We don't have platforms where we talk about unity. How do we unite? Yes, women have this weakness, men have that weakness, but how do we make men stronger and how do we make women stronger? How do we empower each other so that the relations between men and women can actually be much stronger than what they
Yeah.
are today? You know, I just want to read a comment here. What happens when the mother doesn't pay maintenance and she doesn't care? It's the same thing. You have to, the sad thing is that the only thing you have, if you haven't been able to talk to her parents, bring in your parents, have like an intervention for her, and that hasn't worked, the next best thing is to go through the court system. And like someone has said on the chat as well, that sometimes families don't want to get involved. And the reason why families don't want to get involved is because they are tired of the disappointment and the stress that comes with having these conversations because they end up nowhere. But if a mom is not living with the child and the child is living with you full time, that person must be paying child maintenance, just like men have to. The rules don't change because it's the mother that's not staying with the children. But when you go back to the court system and how flawed that is, you know, someone, I think it was a lawyer, there was a post that was posted about why do black people fight for homes and the legalities behind a family home and stuff. I don't want to deflect. That's not what I'm talking about. But when she spoke, she also touched on the traditional marriages, né? And how the court system is forcing us to say that as soon as a guy, apparently, as soon as you write a letter of intent to marry a woman, already that ties you into a marriage, which is not fair, because I also found myself in a predicament, Joguti. Okay, and I'm just saying, if you had to sign a legal document in lentole COP out of community of property and all of that, if you wanted to do out of community, before a guy even writes a letter, you must already have gone and signed a contract without your parents' approval. Because Pela, that letter is to get your parents' approval. And she was saying that the law is just designed to to stall us, it's trapping us. Because there is no way culturally you can go and have a and sign a contract with a man without your parents knowing. How do your parents know? They get to know with a letter of intent. So if that letter, if by just drafting a letter of intent, letting the parents know I'm already married in community or property, guys, the law does not work for us, it works against us. But I don't want us to focus on that. I'm just trying to sort of like open up our eyes in terms of how the law is really not working in our favor, and how we need to actually try as hard as possible ukuthi sisebenzisane in these things. I don't know whether you had closed out your statement so that I can move on to Ntwaki.
No, Baningito.
So Ntwaki, how are you? And welcome, and thank you for waiting. The system is all about breaking families. That's true.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay, I guess. Okay, guys, I'm just gonna state my problem. I have a 13-year-old stepchild, and I hardly ever use it like that. I just call her my daughter, and that's it. But I think we have stomached this problem for so long, and thinking that from the mother's side, she would eventually cheer up and be, oh, mama, all right. I met a baby girl when she was 4 years, and umntwana beka and relationships were never, I think they were never bought. It was something very genuine, and we didn't experience so much of problems sorry, with the baby mama. So, okay, umntwana uyakhula, and obviously they seeing there is this auntie Bani Bani in the house. And obviously when they go back home, they will always mention this person. She did A, B, C, and D. We went and we did that and that and that and that. Umntwana's enjoying herself. Fine. Child started school. I've always been. Daddy has always been a supportive father. Daddy pays his dues, and he never misses izinto zomntwana. Now, baby girl has started school. It happened that daddy's car ibingekho right, so daddy had to use my car. Now it's baby girl's first day of school. Now mommy and daddy are taking baby girl to school, which I didn't have a problem. They both had to experience that for umntana wabo. Okay, now this one says what I meant. Lo muntu lo ukhona, and okay, but now certain things starts changing. Now, okay, she's trying ukwenza whatever, but umntana kusasewumntwana. And she will always say, my mommy says, my mommy says, my mommy says, to a point where I said to her, baby girl, when you are here with me and daddy, we don't talk about what happens to mommies at mommy's house. Same as when you were also there at mommy's house, you don't discuss with mommy what happens here. No, I didn't have a problem. Umntwana, and I'm thinking, okay, kuzoba right. Umntwana uyakhula, and now it's getting worse, this thing. Mommy is building up this hatred to umntwana about me, and obviously there was a point where baby girl now when she had started with the attitude, you're not my mom. And I'm like, I know that. I know that I'm not your mommy. But when you're at my house, who takes care of you? Who does A, B, C, and D when you are here at my house? And she said, it's you. And I'm like, thank you. I've never tried to be too much into her life, that I try and try and try and be her mom in any way. I've never pet mouthed her mom. I'd never discuss anything with her about her mom. But mommy started planting that hatred into the child about me. It has gotten worse. Guys, it's 13 years. It has never gotten better. To a point where I once spoke to you, I think it was a year ago, if I'm not mistaken, where we were in Cape Town and baby girl was watching porn.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
yes. I remember.
So I think after that trip as well, angithi kayakhula, and now obviously she's starting to manipulate, you know? And it's so sad that my husband loves umntanakhe ngenhliziyo yakhe yonke. But when she is wrong, she is wrong. And just like when I would reprimand her, I'd never do it differently when there's the two of us or when the daddy is there. It will still be the same. It will still be the same. So when that whole thing happened of watching porn, obviously the other parents had to be involved, you know, because now their daughters, they were also involved in the whole thing. And the mother could not reprimand umntwana kahle, but she still wants to play the the blame game, you know, that yeah, your woman, she mustn't reprimand my child. I'm her mother. I will do that. I will do that. Like guys, it is so toxic. It is so toxic. You know, as stepmoms, we try our level best. And I'm sorry, I will never tiptoe around a child. Umntwana, and a child will be treated as a child. And I will not be disrespected. And I've always told baby girl that you will speak to me in a respectful manner. As old as I am, I will also show respect to you. So you will not have an attitude and speak to me like I'm one of your peers. I'm not your peer. So now when izinto turn out ngenye indlela, as a stepmom, you get tired. You know? I think after that incident, that's when everything just went south. To a point where at times when baby girl wants to visit, for a day, I'd rather go somewhere just to avoid.
That is painful.
It is painful. I've tried with it, you'll stay, be around. With the last straw, it was last year when we went for shopping. We went to buy curtains. Now that we have bought a house, I think that's what also is making the mother miserable. Because I think, oh baby, magazine, she would take pictures. Like, mommy, they doing this and that. They renovated that. Like, everything is happening so quick, you know? And we went to buy curtains. Baby girl was a bit off, and Miss Lil Ma'am, she's got an attitude. Like she will drive you up the walls. But I can deal with that. I can keep myself calm, you know, to a point whereby Ukazanga hardly came to fetch her. They had to go out for lunch with his daughter, so they came to fetch her. So she had to leave. He sees everything. Inhliziyo yakhe iba buhlungu ukuthi how did this situation turn out to be the way it is right now, because you guys got along like house on fire. And I'm like, it's your ex. And I've been saying, you need to put your foot down. You need to put your foot down. You need to tell this woman to stop poisoning the child. Because I mean, abantu abahlukene for 13 years. Why is it so difficult? Why does it always have to be a fight between them regarding izinto zomntwana?
If I can ask you, is the what is the mom doing? Is she in a relationship? Is she working? And is she having any form of financial like growth in terms of like buying a property, new cars, or whatever?
Mommy is a person who is not stable with living arrangements. Every 6 months, she has always been that person. She would move from one place to another, one place to another. So, mom, okay, she's got a job, and which yeah, she's okay.
Okay.
But mommy is still renting, and the last time, okay, girl, she would say, okay, mommy's got a boyfriend, telling Udeli lezo zinto lezo. So I think there is someone.
Okay. And were they married or just dating?
They were married. I would say, okay, bekamkhiphela ilobolo and bekangakaqedi ukubhadala ilobolo.
Oh, okay, yeah,
But
yeah.
it was official. The family meeting, the both families, they were there. And when this whole thing by Krita Oguti, we no longer want this. So it's not like everyone just went their separate ways and it was just left like that. No. Both families they sat down, you know. So it has gone bad, guys, and witchcraft is also involved now. Because umntwana ngesikhathi asesemncane, when she would come,
That's true.
I would unpack her bag. When she leaves, I unpack, pack it again just to check what's going on there. She's a teen now. I can't do that. I can't do that. Now at the new house, like I'm always in Shawovalo. The last time she was there, it was the week of her birthday. When was it? Around the 8th? Yes, she was around. And Samenzela, yo, that okay, as gaziningi later, like it breaks my heart.
What
It,
breaks my heart is that we are,
oh,
it's a year. I think it's almost a year later because it was around about
it was
eight.
around this time when I told you about this, when I requested and told you guys about this.
Sure.
So Ugeli, I don't know ukuthi uza nani endlini. Hubby doesn't sleep properly. Sphelelwa ubuthongo. Last week Thursday, there was a time. Okay, I went to bed early, but I felt like someone was watching me, and someone opened the door, and I was like, okay, what is going on? So I was calling him, and okay, akangizwanga, ngiye nguye, and I'm like, okay, this person was watching TV. And man, figure he's sleeping, like fast asleep on the couch. And I'm like, and I told him about it. And ngiwe shower ovalo like all the time. To a point in since Kati, we are in the house, maybe maslangana, like maybe we're in the bathroom or something. And I'm like, you're scaring me. Like make a noise or something and tell me, Uti, are you around? I'm like, but why are you feeling like that? I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what is going on. So yesterday, ube khuluma naye ubaby girl. Baby girl is in a different tune now. Now remember what they bayampega the grandmother and the mother now. So I'm sorry to talk about religion, né? But they're from a certain religion whereby they don't believe Guma Christmas and birthdays. I think you guys can catch which church I'm talking about. And Ogeli has never been that person. Ogeli has always spent Christmas with us. Christmas, New Year, birthdays have been celebrated. We've always made it special for her to have memories about her birthdays. So yesterday, Udeli amfonela and just to check up on her. and she was in a different tune. She was in a different tune. God doesn't forgive. I'm like, what? God doesn't forgive. Which Bible are we reading here? Are we reading the same Bible? God doesn't forgive, and I don't like Auntie Ntswaki. It has always been like that. I had to pretend because I had to make you happy. This child, I met her when she was 4. A 4-year-old, what does she know? What does she know as a 4-year-old? If she comes and says, okay, years later, I was doing it for you, Daddy, just to make you happy, I don't like her. And baby girl has made it even evident, even to the grandparents. I remember my father-in-law was there when we had lunch for her on her birthday. You know, it was a surprise. She came and she was like, I don't like birthdays, with an attitude, Mama, with an attitude. The effort that we took preparing everything for her. I don't like birthdays. The father was like, you are so ungrateful. No, but I was just saying, I also don't like surprises. Yo, guys, like, ngiyagoa.
Yo,
I love
so
kids. Kids love me. It's so unfortunate, you know, that I have a condition which is a bit difficult for me to conceive, you know? And I'm like, wow, my husband has loved me the way I am. Not even once have I ever got pressurized.
oh no.
Do you understand? And now, years later, we are in a situation. Sekubuywa nakuma social worker last year because I had to force him to say, Buti, you need to get help because this is really getting out of hand. It is really getting out of hand. My name still came up like I am the monster. My name still came up like I am the monster. You know, Auntie Ntswaki that, and mina akumelanga ukuthi ngikhuza. And even when ngikhuza, it's gentle. I am mindful of what I say. You know? So mina ke, the mother, like she had said, with, you know, I mustn't reprimand umntanakhe. But she doesn't see ukuthi uzimoshela umntwana.
Yeah,
You
Mona,
know?
this thing that you're talking about now is what I think I realized after some time is that, you know, people always say that meeting someone with a young child is better because you get to build that relationship. And like, I think I said it when I started my life that doesn't matter what way you start the relationship or what is happening. The biological mom is the one with the power to drive whether this relationship is healthy or not. It's what I've just realized because it doesn't matter how great you are as a step parent, how much you try as a step parent. If that person is determined that you will not have a healthy relationship with a child, you will not. It will take some time for you to get to a point where the child matures enough to understand that you really weren't that way, but it also depends on how entrenched the mom's doing is. And then there's the second issue of the potential witchcraft. That one as well, and even different beliefs. That one, I would just say you just need to be stronger in prayer. You know, sometimes these things they happen because we need to build a stronger relationship with God. They happen because we need to be closely dependent on God, especially when the situations are way beyond your control. I'm not sure what your belief system is, but I've been tested in a much similar way as you. And the only thing I could turn to was just prayer, but also not just praying and listening, and also trying to come up with different strategies on how to work on it because it's not going to be just one answer, which is just do this, it will be okay. And then there's the third issue, and I'm not going into details with all three. And then there's the third issue that someone mentioned here when you said there was a family meeting and they separated because he hadn't finished Lobola. I think you heard me mention this, and maybe I mentioned it because of you, that as soon as a gentleman writes a letter of intent to marry someone, already they are married in community of property, which means that they need to be divorced legally.
Can I rectify you on that one?
Okay.
Because I think we still don't understand it better. If there was a form of a celebration, you know, like if there was maybe a lunch after Ama Lobola and stuff, and there've been pictures taken from the celebration, that is considered as. But if it was just a letter with no celebration, and if you leave it and nihlukane, the way you leave things as they are, and you guys do not gather family and say, oh, it's okay, guys, dinner, we have decided this is what we want to do. As Safon, we're going our separate ways. Yeah, but that's how it works. You know, if there was a form.
Are you still there? Is it my connectivity?
Because we've been Lorna Sifuna advice about it. So the last person that we spoke about, and she said no, if there was a form of celebration as well, it's considered as. So here there was no celebration, it was just that, and bekumele kuqedelelwe, and azange kusaqedelelwa, that's when the whole thing was called off. Yes.
No, it's just that, like, I think someone actually even wrote it here that someone presented the Lobola letter only. But I also think this thing is also just, yeah, I was about to say, I was
Yes.
about to say what the Rand was saying, that it depends with the judge at the court that you go to, that sometimes depending on their emotions, then they will make it very nasty for you. Because someone said here, someone presented just a Lobola letter, and then the ex-wife took, well, not even ex-wife, the ex then took everything, and the marriage was considered null and void. But this is a topic for another day. But but it's also what I was saying earlier, Guti, our legal system is just not aligned with our culture. And it's really causing problems now, because basically what it means is that only white people can get, because white people get engaged, but that is not marriage. People get engaged, that's not marriage. You see, there's a lot of confusion, and they should just also allow us, Woody, when we decide as a couple to go to court, then it's marriage. I don't understand why we are being forced to be married when we're still deciding whether we want to be married or not. But on the other hand, for other cultures, they can actually decide when they go to court that is considered marriage. Why are we being trapped into this? Because it's further breaking up our families. Because when you, like that person, let me not bring this on you. When that person got, her husband passed on, then the ex-wife came, the ex-girlfriend, because if you're putting it in your way, that person was not their wife, but they just came with a lobola letter and said, here's a lobola letter, he had lobolaed me. It's but anyways, it's just further breaking up our systems. But it's just something that I don't think we even have control over, unless if he's willing to go back and start and formally divorce her in a court system.
No, because when this thing started, about that lobola and tonton, we also went safuna advice and stuff, So yeah. But I guess for now, I have nothing to worry about. So I think one other thing that triggered the whole thing, baby girl is going to high school. So the mom moved from the south. She moved from the south, from the south, and now she moved to the north. And when she did that, Umtana was still in the south, Angeniskolo at the south, and she moved. Never told the dad about it. Only about 2 weeks later, when the dad was supposed to fetch Umtana, which, by the way, we have moved. The dad is like, how? You could have, involved me wangitshela ukuthi you guys are moving. And since you guys are moving, seeing that I don't stay far from the child's school, why don't umntwana ahlale nami and then you take the kid ngama weekends? And she was like, this is my child. So to her, everything is like, dad is being erased. It's like
What
daddy
is
was
the
just
court? What is the court saying about the parenting plan if that's been compromised?
the parenting plan. Okay, what happened was last year when they went to my social workers. They dealt with the case, and with that one more especially, they are more concerned about the child, the well-being of the child, and they will interview the child first, and then the parents will come once they're done with the child, and then that's how I think they assess the situation. So the verdict was, okay, if you guys want to take this to court, you can take it to court. Do you guys want to take it to court? Both parents were asked. Mommy was asked, and mommy said no. I don't want to take this to court. Now with that, I think it shook her that, oh, this man, he finally took the step, because that's when everything now started being very, very bitter, And then mommy said no. Okay, fine. Now daddy's saying to mommy, okay, now that seeing that you have applied for 3 schools around that side and they have not responded if they're taking umntwana or not, can we check other schools in the south of Johannesburg if we can get something for her? Should these 3 schools not take umntwana, so that we know we have reserved another space for umntwana. Okay. Yeah,
I would-
Lerato, daddy is too
I would
gentle.
I would have said the same thing. That
Yes, daddy is too gentle.
even if
Daddy
she
is too gentle. My husband has this thing of he's scared of losing the child. So I've always been saying, Uguti, losing a child, not with the law that we have. You will never lose your child. You are a present father and you do everything for your child.
But the thing is, by him not taking it further, because she can say no, she doesn't want to take it further in court, but he has the right to say, I want to take it further, especially because
this time around, I've said it to him, Guti, this week, you are approaching the courts. Now we are taking this to the courts. Let the court deal with this. Because now, the other 3 schools, they took time because she was still not taken, I think, Kulezo Ikololezo. She was still waiting list and stuff. So the other school at the south, Mtwana. And now that there's a new house, so it's being capitalized on, okay, your dad bought a new house, no, that's why. So it means they can afford. Now, girl went Wayufuna a private school without discussing it with daddy. Tlile sekamnikeza amafomu. This is the school that I have found for her. We are taking her to the school. And I said, has she considered what can you afford when the fees that you will be paying monthly, or what's going to happen?
What was his response to that?
His response was, okay, my affordability for the school, this is what I can give you monthly. And this fees, as Funa to this private school, you guys are going to go 50-50 on the fees if she wants her child to go to the school. And I even said to daddy, she's an average child.
But what was his actual response? Like, what did he say he will do? Did he just agree? Or
No, he didn't agree. They first started squabbling kala. Hence, it was taken to the social workers. That's how it started. They're my social workers. So after that, what decided, seeing that these other schools have not taken umntwana, they've not accepted umntwana, let's get a private school. Okay, we tried getting these other semi-private schools, which they were more reasonable. No, she just didn't want them. No, I don't want these schools. They are not as good as this one that I found for her. Don't. She went ahead, paid my registration fee, and then uzanama form. And I said, okay, if she wants the child to go to that school, then you guys are going to go 50-50. You will not be paying this money. We won. She's the one who went out there wayofuna leso score. So now, about 2-3 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, their conversation on WhatsApp. Ugel uthe wathumela message ukuthi no, you can take umntwana to the school eSouth. I'll pay for a transport. Now it's like, okay, we are getting somewhere here. But we can only change umntwana nge-second term because I've already paid APC. And Udade is like, it's fine, even if you forfeit that,
Yeah.
can we just qale lento sise umntwana to the school? Exactly, and just take umntwana to the school, you know? Hayi yaqala ifight ke.
You know
Don't
what the
ever
thing
send me
is?
messages. You're gonna send me emails. That's how we are going to communicate, me and you. Don't send me messages. Don't do anything.
You know what I see in
Guys.
this situation is the fact that this person will constantly be like this, and there's not much you can do. Yes, communication is vital when you're co-parenting, but also when
But
you're
with a
co-parenting with
difficult
someone
mother
who
like
is,
that, how do we?
yes, like that's what I'm saying. When you're dealing with someone who is not willing to, because for her it's all about frustrating the situation. But as much as it's frustrated this situation, you guys are constantly showing up as a team and working together. And I've been saying in these conversations that it's for your partner, the other co-parent, to fight this battle. The only thing that we can do is support as the step parents. There's not much we can do because yes, you can still request Rahadi, I'll accept now. The only thing you can do is support your husband, but he has to be the one that develops the strength to fight this. Kuba yena ofaka ama boundaries, because this person will, you put up a boundary, they'll try to break it. You put up a boundary, they'll try to break it. They'll use umntwana against you, because now the next thing is going to be,
Can I, sorry
you
to interrupt you. Can I just respond to Pearl? Pearl, it's not about the school being better. And guys, when I say the child is average, lo mntwana, she doesn't like studying. And she will tell you that I don't like going to school. She is that child. There were always letters ezithumelwa abazali. Umntwana doesn't do ama homeworks. Umami never used to also check ukuthi umntwana wenza ama homeworks and stuff. She is that child that needs to be pushed ukuthi afunde. She hardly ever gets ama marks athe qaqa. And it has always been like that. And me, now when I said that, it wasn't coming from to do any harm or anything. But I said, look at this. Umntwana is an average learner, and you want to take her to that expensive school. If she doesn't make it, what's going to happen? You guys are losing money out of this. She is not ready to be in a school like that. If she is ready, a child will give you good marks. The dad has tried ama tutor and stuff to help umntwana, but no.
but I think, because of this pushing and pulling, and some Ria just said the child could be going through some emotional stress, and I think it's that.
Yes, she is
Our
because of the mother. She's been saying that, Daddy, I'm depressed.
I understand you're frustrated,
Oh,
and I fully understand. Let me finish my statement.
sorry.
I understand. Rakhadi, how are you? Lerato, how are you? Yeah, but
I'm good, Auntie Zama. So sorry, I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. I'll bring you in just now.
Okay.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that the child sometimes can be average and not do great at school because of everything that's happening. Because this child has been involved in adult issues, and she's only 13. She's at 13. She's literally getting into her teen stages, and there she is having to deal with mom said this, dad said this, I don't like my, and even when she says she doesn't like you, obviously you're not gonna, even if you keep quiet, that energy is there. That negative energy is in the space, no matter how hard you try to hide it and not say anything and stay calm. But because it's affecting you, you will, you won't be treating her badly, but that energy is there. And that's why the child would seem like they're average. But for me as well, but I mean, we all, like we said, we all have different values when it comes to raising kids. Because for me, a private school for a child that is average would actually help that child get better marks because they get that attention in class. They are in smaller classes. The teachers are more attentive. The teachers sort of like force the child to study, but also depending on which private school your child goes to. Some private schools, you find that even the attitude of the kids in the school gives your child that confidence of, I also want to do well because there's no one around them who wants to be average. So the environment that they placed in can influence their marks to improve. And I'm saying this from my own perspective of seeing how my daughter has been doing in the different school environments. I'm also one of those moms that yes, I buy property, but I move around a lot because of the work that I do. And I've seen my daughter has been like to 5 schools, and I've seen from one school to the other and checking the environment of the school that she performs well in a private school setting, but with a different type of attitude. So it's very important, even that private school, is it a, because some private schools, especially around Gauteng, some private schools are private by name in Gauteng, and you're paying 160,000 for a private school that is not giving you private school quality education and lifestyle for your kids. So it's important to just check the schools as well. But private schooling can help her to move from average to being a better performing student. But I also think because, and I don't blame you, Ntwaki, for even thinking or believing that the mom is trying to be difficult. Because if a person is constantly difficult, guys, and I see in the comments some people feel like, no, but it's how do you
Calling
say
the child average.
how do you say the child shouldn't be going to, maybe the mom wants better for her child. But if a person is constantly difficult, sometimes it's hard to see beyond even that because it's like, are you having good intentions or not with what you're doing? Are you doing this because is it coming from a good place? Is it coming from a place of positivity? Or are you still continuing to make life difficult for us? So also understand that because sometimes I feel like as step parents, I'm a step mom and I'm a bio mom. So I know this from both sides of the stick or the sword. It's a double-edged sword, and from both sides of the sword, it is not easy. And every I feel like every time when a step parent, especially a stepmom, speaks, people want to sort of judge her and not hear out where she's coming from. Yes, it's hard to not, you say don't be too involved, but sometimes this impacts the finances of your house, it impacts the lifestyle of your house, it impacts the energy in your house, it impacts the routines of your house. Like Ntwaki was saying, that it's gotten to a point because now we say don't be too involved. When her stepdaughter comes home, she has to now be out so that there's less conflicts in the house. She has to be out in the streets, going out with friends, having drinks, coming home a little bit late so that there's peace. Exactly, Zodo. Unnecessary fights. Let's not fight, guys. We're fighting each other and impacting the child. And the best thing to do here is this I don't even have a best thing to do because if you're dealing with someone who's difficult and they don't want peace with you, it is hard to change that person. But what I would say to you, Ntwaki, is that focus more on what you can control and what you have control over. So it's your relationship, it's your peace in that relationship. It's continuously trying to be there for your stepdaughter, but in a way that she can receive it as well. Because if she's not receiving your presence, then it's fine. She can be home, you can cook, I've even
Not
seen.
sorry to interject. Not that always I'm not around. I'm there, you'll cook, you'll do everything, she's there. Baby girl doesn't want to wash the dishes. She eats, she leaves everything there. And you teach her this when you're done eating, put this in the sink. When you're done that, just clean after yourself.
No,
Clean
that's
after
what I
yourself.
said, Uti. You have to leave and spend as little time at home as possible.
And
But
one other thing, Ngzophuma Askis, one other thing that you know, if you've
Ngaqala.
never been in a situation that I'm being, you'd easily say things that you are not sure about. You know, wait until you are in that situation and experience that, and then you will know. Because on the comments, no, you are wrong. You are calling the child averages. Guys, I am calling the child Uti. She's an average learner because of her marks. Daddy has tried all sorts, getting tutors Uti bamncede umntwana. I've said that,
No,
you know.
I understand
And
you.
mommy on her end is not helping. Umntwana would get away with not doing her homework. Mommy will not check her books.
I want to bring in Lerato. Sorry,
And it's from, okay.
sorry, Caramella. I'm sorry. I just want to bring Lerato because I think she might have some insights on what you're talking about, just specifically on Swaki's issue, and then I'll go to Caramella after that. Guys, I won't bring anyone else. I see people want to come up. But yeah, let me bring in Lerato.
Thank you, Auntie Zama. Osinzwaki, good morning, and everyone on the panel. You know what? I'm listening to you. I'm reflecting, and I remember at the time that I got married, my stepkids, the ones that I was close to, were 10 and 12. And we did our best with their mother to have a good relationship, which it really went well. And I guess we've been in that kind of environment where we negotiate about schools and come up with, the best school for the kids, even though there was some level of resistance at some time, especially when the kids had to go to high school, because Daddy and I had been to boarding school, and so we tried to push for boarding school. The mom didn't like the idea of a boarding school, so I guess that's where we kind of differed. But in terms of the legalities, if you ever take it to court, like that's why I was saying Daddy is too gentle on this one. I'm the person that doesn't like to fight. I like us to have an agreement as we start. I like the two parents to sit together and have a conversation and be amicable. But at times we are not amicable. At times the other party is trying to drive it to a different angle. One of the clients that I had been so difficult. Their partner was so difficult with the child. It was a guy. So the ex-wife was so difficult with the child, changing schools whenever she feels like it, upgrading the child's school whenever she feels like it, moved around without consulting the dad, and it got to the time to where I advised my client, here's a lawyer, do your homework, find other lawyers, but you need to have this sorted out in court such that if she makes any decisions and you didn't get an email that requests if this is possible so that the two of you can sit on a table. If you can't sit on the table, you go back to the children's court and somebody becomes a mediator on this, or you go back to your lawyers and your lawyers become mediators on this. She got to a point, eventually this guy took the case to court. They were advised to go to the children's advocate. They had an agreement, and that settlement signed by both of them and both their lawyers. Still the woman defaulted. Still the woman, didn't even want access with the child anymore, because now this child was close to the stepkids. And what happened is, when they got to court, the magistrate said, this is the last time that you're doing this, because I have every right to put you into jail, to lose custody of that child, to lose the very same job that you think you have, because what you're doing is illegal. And so if Daddy doesn't want to stand up and find a way of making sure that this is regulated, you're going to sit there and this woman is going to upgrade schools until they want the child to go to St. Stephen's or Grey College, Bloemfontein or whatever. And you're going to be sitting there with Daddy saying, okay, because it's all good and well that you guys can agree that you're going half-half. She is used to being a victim. That's the way that it comes out as you're speaking. And you guys are enabling it because you are tiptoeing around it. You can never have a child come to your house as if your house doesn't have rules. And you allow a child, anybody less than 13, 10, 17, 18, anybody at that age that is not independent, living on their own, is a child. There is no child that comes to my house and make the rules.
Exactly.
Right now, I'm in a co-parenting relationship because I am divorced. And yes, it has been a difficult divorce with my ex. And the difficulty of it has been sorted out by the court. We've got a settlement. Anybody that goes over that, not in a positive way, but in a negative way, one of us has got a right just to go back to court, and whoever it is that is against the law or trying to be difficult will go to jail. It's as simple as ABC. And so if you guys are tiptoeing around it, you upgrade, you buy a car, of course the assumption is that now that you guys have got a new house, it's as if you are not there financially, because that's the assumption of the kids, that's the assumption of the ex-wife, that's the assumption of probably your ex-in-laws. So your husband is the only one that works, and nobody wants to recognize that you bring your income into the equation. So if you've upgraded the house, it's for both of you. Maybe when he was alone, he was not going to be able to do that. But now, because they don't consider that, they can come selfishly to want to say, but if you've got a house, it means we can upgrade the school. On the other hand,
Before you move, you mentioned the magistrate saying that they could lock the mom up if she doesn't want to comply, right?
yes,
If she defaults. But what I've seen is that it does happen that parents default from the plan, and on purpose. And it goes on for months, because the first time you'll be like, okay, maybe it's a mistake. Second month, third month, you realize. And then when you go back to court, most of the township courts, most of the township courts, they will tell you to go to the police station and go to that mom's house or dad's house to resolve the issue. If the child is residing there, the trauma that comes with that. So that's why sometimes it doesn't fix the issue, because I'm not gonna now let's say my daughter now is with her father. Let's say he's defaulted on something and he doesn't want to bring her. If I go there with cops, the trauma that I've caused now for that child. One of the ladies on the chat was like, her niece doesn't want her dad because her dad went through all the way to that stage. And they went with the cops to try and resolve the issue. And the child was so traumatized, she doesn't want anything to do with their father. And I'm sorry to come in to cut you short, but I just wanted us to not lose track of where you started so that we can close that.
yes, I understand. And I guess sometimes if they send you with the cops to go there, depending also whether you want to contract a lawyer, because yes, I understand where she comes from, because if you do not have the lawyer, you would have to do all the other processes that may wind you up, the long route. And I know that I always sometimes advise, even though it's not affordable to everyone, if you can find a way to make means, because that's the much simpler way and easier way than traumatizing the kids. And even if you go to the children's court, you explain that the problem is every time we go there with the police, this is the state of the child, or I am afraid that it's going to traumatize the kids, because sometimes you need to speak about it at a legal framework platform rather than involving the children. The unfortunate thing is the child at the moment, is at an age where she will have to be interviewed, and she is being difficult. And then she can also be at a position where she makes a choice. Because I wanted to add that if you're taking a child to private school, which I also advocate for private school, so maybe here I'll be biased, their way of thinking would be different. The people that they are, the people that they will be engaging with will also be different. Their outlook will be different depending on the exposure that they're getting, and the friendships that you actually make at school, you may get to retain for the rest of your life. And those are the people that at the moment, Zama, we can speed dial if business is not going well, if you're not getting a job and you need to upgrade, if there's somewhere in life, they can open doors for you. Those become your friends for the rest of your life. And so I do advocate for that, such that we are able to close the gap between the haves and the have-nots. But I would like to advise that if if it's difficult for parents to talk and you are tiptoeing around the issue and you are not dealing with it, the unfortunate thing is the person that whose life we are affecting and we are spoiling and we are allowing that person to go out into the world as an entitled hooligan is the child. If we are not doing our best to make sure that we regulate and we put rigidity at this level where we know that the rules at daddy's house are the rules at daddy's house. My child, when he goes to his dad's house, their lifestyle is probably different from mine. I don't ask a lot of questions. Some of the things I get to see when he comes back, but he knows when he's at mommy's house, it's a different thing. It's a different lifestyle. It's a different, routine, and there are different rules. The same way that your child doesn't eat in the bathroom and they don't bath in the kitchen. And because they know these are the rules, and eventually the child gets to understand that there are rules from both sides. But where I really think we shouldn't sit and dwell a lot as a family, you and daddy, and find a way of having that conversation with mommy, because if every time you guys go to court, then she gets threatened to see that this is serious, then this is, I think, where my problem is. Now you have identified that you are dealing with a person who is intentionally causing trouble. Because the unfortunate thing is that it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't matter how strong you think you are. Sometimes it doesn't matter how prayerful you think you are about your marriage. But when there is something and a person who is intentionally wanting to separate you, you guys will eventually separate. After 2 years, you would be blaming your husband of not taking action. Your husband will be thinking, I'm not going to my child, while the legal system can actually make sure that you get to keep the child. Everybody stays accountable, and you get to, regulate everything that is happening. So by the time that you don't want things to happen in a certain way, it might be out of hand because the child may come up with stories. I mean, I've got a client whose child's father had to not allow the child to come back into his house because the child had mentioned that you are having so many girlfriends and it means that you cannot live without a woman around you. I mean, this child is like was 14 or 13 at the time. And so it means that because we are girl children, the next minute you're gonna end up with us, because I can't use that fruit name, the grape name. And the guy was like, oh flip, if this is how this child is thinking, she might get to court and she might claim this. And so I don't want my child in my house anymore for my own safety. And now when you are grooming the child because the two of you are fighting, and remember, kids have got a mind of their own. If you can even sit down with your own child and listen to what they think, how they speak, you can tell that if you are not there to have a conversation and to redirect the thoughts, they can end up with some trauma that you actually don't even understand what the trauma is about because of the conclusions that they have. Now, if this child goes into teenagehood and becomes an independent person, because as a teenager, you also want to find your own feet and be independent. So, as a teenager, she may come up with her own stories just to think that they are being on the mother's side and making sure that this case of separating you is strong. Every child wants their parent to be together. Sometimes it's independent, it might not be influenced. And this is the part that yes, it's like they are manipulative, and this is the part that you have to recognize that it's not about threatening the child, it's not about creating an uncomfortable place for the child, it's also about making sure that there is a life and a routine that a child can actually adhere to. So if you are not taking this legally for sure, and we solve all the things, we dissolve all the things that needs to be dissolved, the unfortunate thing is you then become party to the contributors that are making the child to be what she is, and you are also no longer becoming victims, but you are now becoming perpetrators of this situation that is happening between the two families. So if you guys can't find mediators, find the lawyers and move in that direction.
Lerato, just one last question. You know, you mentioned the father because of the life he's living and the comment, but like with this type of situation where you're consistently dealing with someone who wants to make life difficult, it's hard to say to say the child, okay, for him the child was visiting, but it's hard to say, okay, the child must just visit, especially because she's 13, so there's still like 5 more years for this child to get to high school where they can just visit on their own accord. How do you separate things, because there's parallel parenting, right, where you actually don't need to engage the mom at all, but you need a middleman to sort of help you navigate that. How do you actually completely separate this? Because this person will not stop. It's been 13 years. They've been finding one way or another to frustrate this family, and they won't stop. But you're not going to say you're going to stop seeing your child, or they must not visit, because at least the home is sound, it's proper, they can visit. But what can one do? Because this parallel parenting, for example, the child's maternal grandmother is also in on the issues as well. Like she's part and parcel of the problem. Is it an issue? And maybe Ntwagi, you can answer this as well after Rahadi has answered. Is it an issue of also, because I think for me, when the situation was very toxic, I decided to use my mom as the middleman, where we were parallel parenting. And my daughter would be with my mom. Anyone who wants to see the child, it's through my mom. Anyone who wants to communicate about anything, it's through my mom. Until we were matured enough to be able to, and I know it's a stress for the grandparents. People always say we stress the grandparents, but they are also parents and they have to parent us even when we are old. But is there a person or a family member where the child that can help you navigate this for at least a year, where you don't need to communicate with her directly and things are done through a parallel parenting process? I know in South Africa there's no legal mechanisms, but I'm sure there's a way of parallel parenting, because this person will not stop. But the only way that will stop them is if that separation is there, so that you can maintain your household and have peace, but then they can also maintain their household and do whatever they wish to do. And the central place is either a Gogo's house, where you pick up the child from Gogo's house, you drop off the child from Gogo's house. It is going to be a lot of admin. But they say that a cat cannot become a lion if they continue to eat rats. It will be difficult. You need to change. You need to change the way you see things and the way you do things in order for you to transform this thing. But it needs something drastic,
Zebs,
not something small.
I think we're tiptoeing around the fact that in Zwaki's situation there is no settlement.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate thing, because if we tiptoe around it, we try to make things amicable. Probably, I don't know if they had middlemen or whatever, but that conversation started first where we want things to be amicable. The middleman could have been the social worker. It's not happening. Is there anything that is written on black and white that if you go against it, you'll go to jail? So that without that paper that the children's court can make available, the magistrate will put a stamp on it. We really do not have a middleman. We can do our best and call the pastor. At the end of the day, when any party goes against the agreement, there is no modality of making sure that the law takes its place. Then we will be running around the we'll be running around the police station and the social workers again, and everybody's exhausted. Others are underpaid. They just don't want to talk to you. You know, you come through as if you are, yeah, you are just being difficult, both of you, and you are fighting. And this is where you can even be convinced by other people that you guys are still in love. That's why you are fighting so much. Why don't you get back together? And now you start having other ideas that are ringing in your head, because
And
this,
they do that in court.
yes, yes, and they do that in court. But I think in my case, the children's advocate is the one that came up with a clear rule of, I don't care who stays where, as long as wherever that the primary caregiver is closer to the school, you as the other parent don't have to meet this woman if you guys cannot be speaking to each other. Pick up the child from school on Friday, drop the
That's what
child on Monday, But it's written down. It's a document that is written down, and I think it has helped us to come to a level where we can negotiate and discuss, because it doesn't even give so much room that without going back to court, you can't skip your weekend, for example, as a dad. So we had to come to an agreement where we now agree that, yes, I know I'm supposed to pick up the child every second weekend according to the settlement, but unfortunately this weekend I won't be on time. I'm only coming back from Cape Town on a Saturday and it will be a wasted weekend, blah, blah, blah. Is it okay if we swap weekends? Now we can converse as adults, even though everything is still on text. Such that we can save it and attach it and blah and blah, because that's how difficult our co-parenting was. It has to be parallel parenting. Parallel parenting, he doesn't know where I stay, I don't know where he stays. Unless the child wants to tell you where they stay, you don't know who he lives with, he doesn't know who I live with, unless the child wants to say, I was with so and so in a weekend. But you also need to create create that room for conversation, because I don't see how I would live in my house if I was Mtwaki, where when the child is visiting, I'm threatened because there could be some other, things that are happening. I would take that child into my routine. If we're praying at 9 o'clock every night, I'll take the child into the prayer room every night, so they know when I get to daddy, the demons that I can come carrying, they're going to be running away and not going to be with me. And if that is, even if the churches are different, it's like a Muslim marrying a Christian. The minute they separate, the child knows that when they go to daddy's house, they are Muslim. When they come to mommy's house, they're Christian. And it's a done deal, and they get exposed to both. If the child now decides that they don't like to celebrate their birthdays or whatever, it's fine, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't celebrate our birthdays. If you don't want your birthday to be celebrated, then if you are not in our house, we will not make a birthday party. But if you're in my house, I make a birthday party. I've got most of my cousins from that church, but I call them on their birthday, and they never rejected the wishes and the blessings. But I know that they're going to forget my birthday if I don't call them on time to say, tomorrow is my birthday. Is it okay if you can give me a call? If they're in my house at my birthday, they come into the celebration, they bring a gift. And if it's their birthday, I don't celebrate it unless if I take them to lunch. And that's the way that we engage with them. It's just the two cultures coming together, but it's not a train smash, because I don't have to keep to your culture. But if I'm in your house, I do your culture because that's your house.
But also understanding that we also change over time and we also see things differently. So it may also be just a phase for the child to say, oh, now I'm following this. I don't know whether it's a religion, but it's a religion. I'm following this religion now. This is what I want to do. It's just testing the waters. And yes, it's disappointing. But also
what do you do on my birthdays? Because at school, other kids bring cupcakes. The teacher makes everybody sing. So what is going to happen? So what? The child is going to stand outside? It's not going to happen that way. The child is going to play in. It's just up to the child not to bring cupcakes on their birthday. It's for them to say, don't celebrate my birthday. Nobody will ever say anything about that other child's birthday. But it's those things that we want them to work somewhere else. We don't want them to work in our house.
And also, Ntswaki, sorry, just to go back to that Christmas story that lady mentioned earlier, Uguti, the child was wearing a different thing. If you don't celebrate it at your house and say, okay, we're not going to celebrate anything, but then now you celebrate everybody else, it's still going to come out one day, even maybe on TikTok, like it did with that picture, Uguti, the child is wearing a different pajama to everybody else. It's going to be, oh, they celebrate each other, but I'm the only one that's not celebrated. But I want to close this now. I think, Rakgadi, you've given
I was closing it. I was just closing it that Ntswaki, I think for the two of you, you will need to be intentional about regulating this, because unfortunately you are not coming into an agreement with the other co-parent. And the unfortunate thing is all our intentions are along co-parenting, but sometimes it has to be parallel. What happens on the left-hand side doesn't have to happen on the right-hand side. But that equation, if it doesn't work, then it's an exception to the rule. Unfortunately, you're an exception to the rule. You need a legal paper that regulates you, that you can take to court. It's going to be costly. It's going to be emotionally draining. speed dial your therapist, make sure that your coaches are around, make sure that you've got a community that you can, give you that kind of support, and make sure that you and Eddie are actually a unit in this. And then you go on and do this together, because you still need that child in your life, because your husband needs that child in your life. But you also can allow just him to run with it, especially if maybe he's not informed of other things and he's doing his best to have peace. So just try and read a lot about parallel parenting, find out what that is about, and then introduce it to him so that you guys can move together with it. But yeah, I guess that's where I will end it.
Thank you so much. We'll definitely do that. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mtwaki. Thank you for joining and thank you for sharing your story, because I know there are a lot of people on this live who are not sharing their specific stories. But I know from what you've shared and the discussions that we've had, it's not just one person who's received help. It's not just you, it's a lot of other people. And also the advice that we give, we're giving based on our experience and our knowledge and our exposure. But the rest of it, it's up to you, to what you take forward with you and what you don't take forward with you. It's just that when you're dealing with someone who will not change, 13 years is a long time. And I just think sometimes you just need to do, because your sanity also counts. Just do something drastic where this person no longer has access to you, no longer has power over you. And the parallel parenting, the nice thing is that you can choose the medium of communication. So you choose, let's just email because phone calls don't work. Let's just text because phone calls don't work. And also discuss, like decide as you as partners first, this is the form of communication that would work. This is the times where it's actually most important for us to communicate, like when schools open, when we're planning school holidays. And then other than that, unless if it's an emergency, we text or email. But if there's no emergency, then you don't. And the child can be dropped off at school, picked up from school, and that's how it's done. Because otherwise, you will constantly be fighting in your household, trying to get your husband to do this. Because that's also frustrating, I think, for that parent who is trying but not really getting it right, because it's like he sees the frustration that is causing on you, and that frustrates him, and he also feels like I'm failing my wife but I'm also failing my child, and that being torn in between the two, it's tough. But I'd like to move to Caramela because she's been waiting patiently, and thank you for your patience and allowing us to have this conversation. I just wanted to bring Lerato in because she always just has a great perspective on these issues and can advise also a bit better as well. Caramela, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you, ma?
Good, thank you.
Good morning to you and everyone else in the live. Thank you so much for. I think this is a topic that's very close to my heart, and when I came across it this morning, sorry I didn't get a notification for it, but when I came across it, I was so happy, and hence I've been patiently waiting and going through the comments, listening to the inside. Thank you so much, Lerato. Thank you so much, Nzwaki, for sharing. Mr. Mhleshe, you've also shared very important points there. And I think from my part, if you'd allow me, can I also advocate for men as well, especially those who fight tooth and nail to present whether they can afford to be present, whether they can afford to or not, we as women need to check ourselves when it comes to parenting as a whole, whether you're co-parenting, whether you're step parenting, whether you're bio parenting. I mean, it's not easy, yes, but we as women, we need to check ourselves. The expectations that we have for the father and the decisions that we make alone, solely, without involving the father because he is financially not stable enough. Even on decisions that do not require finances. I mean, women need to grab a chair and sit down with this. Because with South Africa's current economy and the unemployment rates, the lack of funding for businesses, the corruption, etc., you name it, it is tough out there. you know. And as much as men are providers and they need to be standing up, they need to be supporting their kids, they need to take responsibility, they need to be there financially as well. Yes, we get that. But what happens if a man is retrenched? What happens if a man loses his job? What happens when a man cannot get their business off the ground? What happen? These kind of treatments push our men to being the gangster men, the men who do house break-ins, who go and steal, who go and do crime in order for them to provide and be the men that you have put them in the box to be. So, and of course, I will not overlook the fact that there are fathers who are deadbeats, those who live in lavish and are not reporting for their parenting duties. But here I'm now talking about those who are there, but they are being emotionally abused by women for their inability to fend for their children, and in cases where it's beyond their control.
Yeah.
There's women who prevent men from seeing their kids because they couldn't pay maintenance for 2 months. There are women who prevent men from having a relationship with their children because they're not together, they're married, they live differently or have moved on with their lives, for not being able to pay for a birthday party with 30,000 rand. They emotionally abuse and strain the relationship of the father and the child because of their personal vendettas. I think that is one thing that I despise the most. I'm a mother of three biologically and a mother of five, well, extra two from my current marriage. And
Wait. You said 5 extra 2. What's that?
sorry, I wanted to sum it up. I have a total of 5 kids, and 3 are biological and
Oh, okay. Yes.
my husband's children. And in my previous relationship, I had 3 children from my previous partner, and those kids are still my kids. And they still come to me, they still call, they still check on me. I still check on them and their well being. And honestly, in this experience that I've had, the mental state of a man in a relationship leads to joy in the home.
Yeah.
And their love for their children cannot be put on the shelf because they are not with the mother of their child anymore. Their relationship with the child will affect the man's mental health and their mental state. And best believe the home won't be at peace. If the man's mental state is not in line, the home will not have peace. The home will not be at ease. The home will not have joy. There'll
But
always be
Pamela,
tension. There'll always be snapping. There'll always be uneasiness. There won't be proper communication. He'll always be frustrated. And how you, as the current partner, come to the party of how he has a relationship with the children that are not biologically yours, that contribution to that man's mental health means so much to them. It motivates them to find solutions. It motivates them to maybe win the child over for custody. It motivates them to find a legal solution to the whole problem. And the better headspace he is at when it comes to this frustrating situation. And I understand that you are not responsible as a current partner for what is happening. But the fact that you chose to be and stay in a relationship with a man who has children outside already gives you the responsibility to be there for him and his kids. The fact that you already accepted that I am going to be with you through thick and thin, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're engaged, whether you're married,
I
it
have to
already
ask,
gives you the responsibility. Yes, sorry.
I have to ask this. So, do you not think that the reason why the men are being frustrated through their children is to take away that peace in that home? And what can now you do as a partner to provide that peace?
Oh,
So
sorry,
that's the intention.
I
It's
can't
to
hear you clearly. I
create.
think that was your signal.
Sorry, I'm saying, is that you mentioned something critical, ukuthi if a man's mental state or emotional state is not okay, the whole home is in disarray. And I'm saying, is that then not the intention that people, most females, let me not say most females, some females use their kids then to sort of create that instability in their home because they know, because some of them don't even want this man, but they don't want him to be happy because they don't want him to have a perfect family life. And without him being mentally okay and sound and I mean and safe, he won't be able to sort of like take that home a step further. So that's the intention of that ex when they do that, right? And if that
Yeah.
is the case, how do I now, as this person's partner, new partner, support them, especially in a situation like Ntwagi's, where it seems near impossible to have peace. But if this guy doesn't have a good relationship with his child, or that situation is not stable, he's not going to have peace of mind, which means my home is not going to have peace
I
of
hear
mind.
you.
I won't have that
In
leadership.
yeah. So in cases like that, I'm not an expert, but
No, but experience.
cases like that, with experience, knowledge. Take your time to sit down as a step parent or a partner, to sit down and research. I found that we're able to go to family court. We're able to get to have an agreement signed, and where in cases where she now starts saying the child is not coming, or I'm going to make a decision and you're going to have to come to the party or make payments, or you're responsible for this without a proper arrangement. You okay, so let me mention a scenario or an experience that has happened where which put the baby mama in place. So we were meant to have the kids from Friday. So when they come back from school, she either brings them or we fetch them. So that wasn't a big issue. We either pick them up or she brings them on Friday, and we take them home on Sunday, and we had an agreement that it's going to be before 7 p.m. Right. When we had our celebration here, Lobola, she was fuming. Okay. That's when I realized that actually this is, it wasn't so easy on her. And I wasn't sure if it was a matter of her not being able to move on, or a matter of her not accepting defeat, or if it was just that she still loved him, but she wasn't aware until this happened. And quite frankly, I did sympathize, you know. Actually, I empathized because there was nothing I could do with it. You know, it has happened. I love this man. I want to be with him. And she didn't bring the kids. From from the day we had our celebration, I think this was June 2023. From June until around September, October, she didn't bring the kids, and we had an arrangement that she would bring the kids over. We went back to the court, and we told them she hasn't been bringing the kids, and we are not sure what the reason is. They went to her house. They didn't find her there. They went to her work. They asked her why she didn't bring the kids, and she's obliged to start doing that immediately. And if she doesn't, then there'll be consequences. She
Who
still
went?
refused.
Sorry, I missed that a bit. I was reading
Court.
the court. Okay.
Yes.
So the court, the reason why I'm going back to this is because a number of times the court has actually said, "Oh no, we don't have control over this." We, especially with the township courts, we don't have control over this. You need to go to the police station and insist that this person now follows the parenting plan or the maintenance plan.
Yes. So what they do is the court gives you a letter to go sign at the police station. So with the agreement that you guys initially had, right? So when they did find her, they gave her that was a warning to say, if you don't continue with this, these are the consequences, and she still insisted that she's not going to bring the kids and she's going to be the hardhead that she is. And if I think on the third week, we went back to court to say we're still not seeing the kids. It's been months and my husband is not happy at home. I went alone the second time. And what they did is on the Friday, they went to the house, they found her and the kids. They asked the kids, can you please come with us? They brought the kids over. They took the woman, they put her in a cell. And on Sunday, 6 p.m., they released the mother, took her home, and they asked us to take the kids home. So this made her even more crazier than she is. Right. So their intervention in this made her realize that whether she wants to or not, it is going to happen because we had an arrangement and she signed for it, that she's going to bring the kids. And if she doesn't, they're going to lock her up from Friday. We're going to have the kids and they're going to release her just before we have to drop them off.
But I think most men, and I don't know about Ntwakisish, but a lot of men and some who have come here, they say they don't want to take it that far. And as a partner,
Okay.
then it's like now when you are forward, and I've even seen this with what's her name? Gosh, I forget these TikTok celebrities, but there was a woman with a family of 10 or something who also experienced the same thing, and she also intervened at some stages. And then people on this platform were saying she's being too forward. Why is she being involved? Why didn't she let the husband handle the court case? What was she even doing in court?
Totally.
I don't know what my
Totally.
question is,
And
but I think
this
you can
wasn't my
respond.
suggestion to the court or the police. This was this was the decision that they had taken because they had given her warnings and she had got back on her word because she signed under oath. The same agreement that we had where it was taken to the police station, it was under oath. We all signed as the parents.
I hear
And
what
I
you're
was
saying, but what
in the
I'm
beginning, I was advising, right? And when I went alone the second time, my husband hadn't been to work for 3 days. He wasn't okay. And every time I asked him, how can I help you? What is going on? And I think the one thing that ticked me off is when he snapped at me, telling me, if you can bring my kids here, then I'll be okay. In a very frustrated manner. You could see that he was also upset that I kept on asking, can I help? I want to be there for you, but I don't know what's going on. What's going on with you? You're not going to work. You're not eating. You're not doing this. In that week, it was a part of me realizing that he's going to start regretting marrying me. He's going to regret not being with baby mama because now he can't see his kids. Oh, we do have one child together. Right. So I think when I gave him the space after he snapped at me, I went to my place for I think 2 days and he sent me a message, a voice note, frustrated, telling me, so you're also doing what he's doing. You're depriving me of seeing my child because I'm not okay. And that's when I knew I needed to stand up.
yeah, but
And best believe, let me remind you of this. If you don't pray through anything, I'm telling you, prayer works. I have seen it work for the past 10 years with my previous relationship, with this one as well. I'm telling you, you need to pray through everything. It's the only thing that's going to keep you going. It's the only thing that's going to keep you from losing your mind. It's the only answer that you're going to get. And sometimes things happen in a specific manner that in when you're spiritual enough, you're going to see that actually these are the answers I've been praying for. It's happening in the favor of my family. It's happening in the favor of the kids. I mean, the kids love me. We are okay. We do things together. We spend Christmas together. We there's certain things that we do in a certain way. So she only uses the kids in her benefit. If she wants to gallivant, she brings the kids. If it's time for her to spite us, she doesn't bring them. So it was a fight. And best believe what happened with the court and the police, that put her in line. And as traumatic it might have been for her, I'm not sure if she did tell the kids, but nothing has changed with our relationship, with how we communicate with. I don't communicate with her directly.
But I think it's
She
also
speaks to my husband.
how the court system and the police handled the situation. Because another lady, I think she's still here, sweetheart, was saying that her niece doesn't talk to her dad anymore because of it. And I think it was because the when the cops came, they probably came at home and they just took her in front of the kids and cuffed her in front of the kids and took her away. And then the kids are
No,
like,
no, we were allowed to take the kids first.
so
We
that
were
they
allowed to take the kids first. They literally, it was very civil how they did it. They came in, they sat down, they told us, they told her, you understand that the children have to go see their father, because when we walked through the gates, the kids ran to us. The kids ran to us, and you could see that, you could see in the facial expression of the younger one that she's been nagging to want to go see daddy, but I'm not sure what she's been telling them and why they can't go. But the small one didn't even want to go back home after that ordeal. She didn't want to go back home. And this traumatic experience that she's causing for the kids in intentions to spite the dad is not working for the kids. It's not in the best benefit of the kids. You understand? So just it's only after we left, we only found out from the police officer after they had locked her up that this is what they had done, just so that she doesn't cause, because she's caused drama before. She's come to the house to curse out and, throw her toys out. But I think, in essence, I would like to just also highlight that through it all, everything needs to be in the best interest of the
the
kids.
children. Yeah.
And an unhappy man at home will cause problems, will cause tension, will
Right.
drain the relationship, will affect how the relationship with him and your kids are. And unfortunately, we live in times where parents are not together. Parents are not raising the kids together. And it has become so normal. It's become so normal. Unfortunately, the father of my kids passed away, and we couldn't. I mean, it's my belief to raise kids together and make things work, and only in the final straw then you can quit. But unfortunately, mine passed away, and this wasn't an arrangement that I wanted to see. I wasn't even dreaming of being with a man who has kids, because I've seen how things happen with my uncles, with family, with baby mama dramas and all. But when I met this man, I loved him. I was in a state where I couldn't even fight myself, and I had to find ways that work for me, for him, and for both my kids and his kids,
So now the kids, the
and
parenting plan is
I
back in.
mean, Rakadi, you call her Rakadi, Lerato. As Lerato said, that parenting, as much as it's not easy, there are things that will happen that puts you in a position where you need to remember to fight for yourself first, because I believe at the end of the day, you need you
Boundaries.
to be a parent, to be a step parent, to be a wife, to be a mother. You need you. So you always need to remember to take care of you in all these situations. And when they happen, we do put ourselves on the shelf. We forget about ourselves. We always we always put them first and forget about us. And there are times where we end up losing ourselves and are not enough to be parenting, to be wifing, to be mothering, to be yourself. So I think in wrap up, I would also add that as women, we need to remember to be positive and have good intentions all the time.
Carmela?
Whether the woman is hating you, and Zwaki, I heard your story, and I'm really sorry that you're going through all of this. And whether whether the parent, the baby mama is cursing you out, hating you, however, in whatever way. I've also experienced witchcraft as well, and I think it's a long story, and I don't want to go give a mood, but pray through it. Fast if you need to. Wake up at 12 a.m. Wake up at 3 a.m. Pray about these things, and best believe God is always going to come through for you. Thank you so much.
Before you go, Caramella, I want to check. So now everything, how long have the children been coming? Is everything okay now? Everything is in place? Everybody is complying with the parenting plan? And how
Yes.
long is it?
Currently that's fine. We also had. Oh, we are only going to the court next week. We had an issue with maintenance in December because the kids come around end of November for the holidays. We had asked the mother of the kids to say, can we not send maintenance money because we're responsible for stationery, uniform, Christmas clothes, shopping, and all of that. Can we not send that money and take care of the kids because they're with us? They only come back to you mid-January, and she threw a fit, and it was it was drama this past December, but we sent it anyway, and we thought let's rather go to the court and continue with how we do things and emphasize or enforce things. Go back to the court, tell them this is what we're thinking, and. So if they accept it, if it is accepted, then I think that's the proposal that we have. We sent imali and we are still responsible. She'd still call for izinto ezincane like there's a pajama day at school. They want 30 rand and you need to buy her new pajamas. The arrangement was to buy kids clothes in December and she would buy for winter. She still doesn't do that. We do that, that's fine. We're not well off, but we're average financially and we do what we can for the kids. So some of the arrangements she just throws out and we're not going to go back and forth, court back, yes, no, maybe. Do you do what you know, sometimes it's just about let's just do this and get it over and done with. But she would still call us for izinto ezincane. The one time the older child called us to say the teachers for the younger child had requested for fruits on Monday, and mom says she doesn't have money. And we had to, at that time, he texted us, I think at about 7 p.m. And we had to make a plan to make sure that they get the money and go get the fruits because the fruits were needed the next morning. You know, so there are some things that happen, but we just do them in, you know, just to get it passed because she continues to do these things knowing very well ukuthi ubaba uthanda abantwana bakhe, and he would do anything. But at the same time, there's some things that we won't tolerate, like not seeing the kids for months on end.
Hi, Sabonga Caramella. I think, you know, from when you started to the very end, there's a lot that we've learned and there's a lot of gems that you know,
Pardon, sorry, I lost you there a bit.
It's a thank you for coming up because there's a lot that we've learned from just your since you started until you started sharing your experience and what you've been through. I think a lot of us have learned a lot. I think there was a gentleman here who was asking about not child maintenance, visitation, that he can't see his kids. And this shows that you can actually fight till the end and it can still be amicable. But I also want to urge you with this whole cops thing because I just don't like the way sometimes people do things because you don't want people to be.
I'm sorry, I'm losing you there.
I think your
Sorry, let me
connection.
move around. Maybe it's my connection.
No, but it's fine because in the interest of time, I'll then just move on to Pearl. Pearl, Swaki, I think you had a comment. Sorry, earlier before I asked my question, you wanted to comment. Are you good? Okay, I'll move on.
Sorry, I'm losing you guys there.
I think it's your connection. Just try and get your connection right. Pearl, how are you? I see also your connection is a bit bad. Poor.
Yes, it is poor. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Okay. The Black family, thank you for this platform, Zama. Zama, I only came up because of Nswaki, right? Yes, and I think I want to start. No, this is another account of mine which I'm trying to grow, where I am showing my lifestyle, as in what I eat, what I make for the kids, and stuff like yeah, like the healthy stuff, like making the purity from scratch, da 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 da, so that others can learn. Who I want my client, they find it's difficult to make food, so healthy food. So this channel is just for them to see what they can do. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
please
let's.
follow.
I shall.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to come on the pod and I think I want to start to speak to married women first. I think that's what I want to do. And I'm going to give the same advice that my mother-in-law gave me. A month after I got married, she gave me advice. She sat down with me. We were having tea. And she said, "You are very young, Makoti." I laughed. And then she said, "Angani umkhwenyana wakho unezingane?" I said, "Yes." She said, "I want you to do me a favor." She said, "I want you to enjoy your husband and make children of your own. Do not by any chance uzifake uzame ukuzenza ihero with whatever quarrels he's having with his ex. Do not do that, because that will take away the peace of your marriage. That will take away from you enjoying your husband and actually enjoying this union of marriage together. So do me that favor, because I don't want your focus to shift into now burdening yourself with baby mama dramas." I sat and I kept quiet and I did not say anything to her. I was just, digesting what she was saying, and the advice was like, okay. And as I'm into my marriage, I started seeing what she was talking about. And I said, I am so glad that she sat me down and had this conversation, because now I was going to start to have the wife hero syndrome without being aware that I'm having the wife hero syndrome. That's what I call it. And the wife hero syndrome was going to now slowly but surely take the peace away from me, thinking that I'm fixing things and I'm making things better. Some things as married women, you can just be there as a support structure emotionally and give advice when they are asking for advice from you. Sometimes we have a tendency of giving advice ingabuzwanga, ingacelwanga, and we just give advice, baby, this is what we must do like this. She's frustrating us. I know it's a we in this union, but you were not there when the children were made. That's what my mother-in-law said. She said, you were not there. You were not there. You don't know ukuthi yini yabahlukanisa, yini yabanga ukuthi bathandane, yini yabanga ukuthi kube khona ingane, yini yabanga ukuthi bahlukane. You don't know whether i-fight izophela noma ngeke iphele. You don't know. Just do not involve yourself so that you enjoy your marriage. And another thing, when y'all are busy talking about the baby mama drama too much, the household now becomes a toxic place to come home back to, because you have to sit down and talk about this big stone problem. It's no longer a place of peace where you are getting off from work and you're like, oh, I can't wait to go home to my wife. Oh, I can't. It's the same. You are speaking to your baby mama, you are speaking to your wife, same thing, same atmosphere, same It feels like you are rounding yourself in the same environment. At work, they are giving you stress, headache as a man. At home, thing. So it's now the baby mama drama, and it's the kids as well, which is your own children as husband and wife. So it's no longer a peaceful home. Try by making your home a peaceful place where he can rest. Talk about the problem, yes. You just become the ear and you become the emotional supporter. Allow him to make a decision. Allow him to think. Allow him to come to you and say, you know what? This is what I've decided to do. What do you think? Now, that's when your advice is being asked for. That's when you come in with your advice. But you are not the one who's going to initiate the advice and do the thing and say, let's start going to court. Let's do this, that, because you are consuming yourself with all this. That's not the reason you're going to
Ife
marriage.
ngekho right pheli manje senze njani uyahlala umbuke nje umuntu uyambona ukuthi akekho right like uCaramela Dash ukuthi her husband was not going to work for 3 days uhlale nje ntombi ubuke.
Yes, you become an emotional supporter. You support him, make breakfast for him. Hey, honey, I've fixed the shower for you. Yes, fix the shower for you. When are you just there to comfort him? After the 3-4 days or 7 days, whatever, how long it takes for him, you just soothe him there. Don't be a hero and say, baby, let's do this, let's do. No. See, you are taking the manpower away from him. That's number one. And when you are doing that, it's not just you taking the manpower now. It has a long-term effect. When now, psychologically, he's gonna learn to relax. And this is another thing that my mother-in-law said. She said, Makoti, you are too driven. When a husband has a driven wife like you, they relax. So I'm not saying don't be driven, but be driven, but move and allow him to be a man. Because you don't want to take that manpower away from him psychologically. Because when you do,
You're frustrating me.
he's
Okay.
going to relax and you are going to carry the entire burden of the household. And that's not your job. And you're not going to enjoy, and you're going to drain yourself. That is why a lot of women are drained in their marriages, because they came and they became heroes of everything in their marriage. You are not there for that. You are there to be an egg. And when it's time to support him emotionally, support him. Make breakfast for him. That is support. You know? Take him
Ngiyavumelana nawe siswami. I totally agree. But practically when this person is moody, uyambona ukuthi akasekho right. It's the worst thing to deal with. When you see this man is just not okay and you want to support, you want to help, but the support of bringing him breakfast, like you bring breakfast at time and I don't want breakfast.
Okay, baby. Massage him. Prepare a bath. Prepare bath for him. Uzolabela umsuda njengengane encane trauma syndrome. You know those 2-year-olds who throw syndromes bazibhuqe pants? Maybe he's going through that. And sometimes what you do as a mom, you allow them ukuthi azibhuqe phansi mase kakhathele uyasukuma ngoba ngeke azibhuqe phansi for 24 hours. Isisu solamba. So the same way, you just there emotionally supporting him. He will think, you know, as he's sleeping, he can sleep the entire day. Trust me, he is thinking. He is thinking in that sleep. Do not disturb his thinking process. Just be there, support him.
I think what you're saying is that, and the reason why I'm asking these questions is because we then need to self-regulate. That's what it means. Because now it's a matter of self-regulation that wants you to go and just help. Because when you're sitting on the side, you're like, I'm not doing anything. What am I supposed to do? He needs more of my help, but I'm just sitting on the sidelines. Let me try and support. But it means that we need to self-regulate and say, God, give him the answers. Give him the answers that he needs. Support him the way that he needs. Give me the strength to be able to support him and not take on that role. And because we are working women, we are career driven, it's hard to take that step back, because even in the workplace, I can hear Caramela and Umtuagi. They are the women that in the workplace, they're providing solutions. They are making things happen. So now at home, you come and there's no solution. It's been weeks, it's been a month, and this man is suffering. All you want to do is just, okay, let me see what I can do, because I've got brains too. I can maybe come up with a solution. Let me do my research. Let me find out which ways can we do this. And then you start showing him what is possible. It's good, but you're saying it's at the detriment in future.
Allow him to come to you
So,
and say, hey, this has been troubling me. This is not that you've already figured out the solution. When while he was busy, Ekoisha, you were figuring out the solution. By the time he comes to you, you already know the solution. And here's a thing, woman, that you need to learn. You don't give a solution like a hero as a solution maker. No, men don't like that. They recognize it, they see it, but all the time when it's always your plans that are working. No, sometimes give him the solution as if it's his, it belongs to him. He's the one who thought about it. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Sometimes you say, you see, I don't know, but maybe if it's like this, and you are putting it in you women have power. Women have power. You just you are like feeding him the idea so that he believes that this idea, this solution comes from him, and he will feel like a man when he sees this solution fixing the problem. Right? But when all the time you are the problem solver, all the time you are the one who comes with the best solution, you are weakening him. And you don't want him to be at that point, because when he gets to the point of weakness, he's going to be aggressive. Those are the long-term effects. Because he's going to say, when you by hero like hi. When the fight starts.
We want them done now. It's taking too long.
Yes. And then you are like, but I've been trying to help. What is this guy talking about? I don't understand. No. Yena, in his side, the way he sees it, when you're always coming in as a hero, when you are okay, when you are Miss Perfect when. So when the fight comes, maybe 3-4 years later, when you are Miss Perfect and you don't understand where is this coming from, it comes from you being a hero all the time.
Yeah.
So you need to sit back, allow him to fix his things with his baby mama and whatsoever, so that he also enjoys why he married you. He says, you see, he's not going to see why he married you if you're coming in as a hero all the time. But he's going to see why he married you because you are his peace when he comes next to you. All they want is peace. All they want is a quiet home and eat nice dinner and eat nice breakfast and try to deal with whatever problems that they are dealing with. And all they want is for you to be an egg. You see, men enjoy spending money on women, but when you are not giving him that space to spend money on you, you are slowly frustrating him, and you are both not aware what you are doing has a long-term effect. Help, but not too much.
Did you go to the mountains? Any comments? Any any insights?
The Usweet says we also want peace, but you are not giving yourself peace when you are coming in as a hero. You are actually taking your own peace away from yourself.
No, when I pay,
That's such amazing. Sorry to interject.
Bengiza
Oh, Sis Pell, you have hit a point,
Yeah.
and this is a even a biblical a hierarchy. You need to be the neck and not the head as a wife.
yeah.
Mvumele, yes, you can direct, yes, you can sometimes comment, yes, you can sometimes suggest, but let him be the head, let him lead, let him take the decisions, let him take the final decisions. Yes, you can advise, okay, but maybe, okay, but let's see how we can do it since this didn't work. That is one nerve that we always need to remember. You know what? I'll suggest here and there when it's necessary, only when it's necessary. You know, I'm sorry, thank you so much. Hero syndrome. I second that so much.
Ukuba uganile bengekunika umzala wami kodwa ke angikho lapho. Bengithi mina, it's true what she's saying. I think both of us as male and females, the moment we try to bridge what we are required to do, or our post in a relationship, we are forgetting the responsibility of what we want to do. If the neck is always pointing at what the head is supposed to do, eventually psychologically the neck will actually do away with the requirement that it is supposed to do. So it is with the head as well, vice versa. So if people can know, would say, when do I speak? There is wisdom in knowing when to speak and not and when not to speak. There's wisdom there, and not everybody has that spirit. That spirit, it's a gift that you get from God. It's power that you get from God to know when to speak and not when to speak. So when it comes to a situation of amadoda or abantu besilisa wanting peace, it is you ladies that have a list of things that you need for you to be happy. For umuntu wesilisa, is just peace, not imali, not your degree, which comes down to a point whereby we don't care about what you have, we don't care about what you've achieved in life. The question is, nginako yini ukuthula, nginako yini ukuthula empilweni yami. Mangabe kungekho lokho, then it becomes a problem. But if two partners, or if two parties are able to fulfill their duties and their roles in the respective manner of actually giving another person their role and their place, it becomes a very beautiful marriage or very beautiful relationship at the same time. But when we spend time pointing fingers at each other, we are not going to achieve anything. We are not going to actually get anything that we need, which is positive at the end of the day. So kubalulekile ukuthi uzazi ukuthi wena umi kuphi, indawo yakho ithini. Wena umuntu wesilisa, nika umuntu wesifazane indawo yakhe. Wena umuntu wesifazane, nika umuntu wesilisa indawo yakhe. Knowing your role in marriages is very important to be able to keep that peace between both of you.
Yeah, guys. Yeah. I truly appreciate what you guys have shared with us today. Peace is everything. Knowing our places is also important, because if you don't know our place, and when I say knowing your place, I'm not saying stick to your a corner, but there are strengths that we come with when we take our role and we understand our role. And that's what I'm getting from this, because we end up being so frustrated. I'm coming, Rakadi, I won't forget about you. There's frustrations that we experience because we're taking on too much. And I think in blended family spaces, because sometimes our husbands or our partners take so long sometimes to process things, then you're like, I just want to get this sorted. It can be sorted in this way. Like Rakan is saying, I have a solution. That's you in that relationship. But not understanding that without the neurons going to the neck to tell it what to do, the neck is using extra muscle to actually now constantly turn the head as well. Meanwhile, if it just waits for those neurons to go to the neck to tell it to turn, then that way the functions are functioning smoothly like a well-oiled machine. There's no, you are smoothly turning and everybody's playing their part. But it's also just having that patience, because you need to understand who you are dealing with. What type of person are you dealing with? What is their character? How do they respond? So that you know when then to come in and okay, let me give him some time. He will get to it. If it really burns him that much, he will come up with a solution, and I will support that solution. And if he wants my insight, I will give my insight, but not putting. But they always say sometimes someone will come to you with a problem, and then you just want to jump right in with your solutions and your advice, and maybe sometimes they just want to bounce it off you. So even in your response, just see how far you take it. Larato, I'll come to you now.
You see, Blended, I want to help as wives how to, if you see that the idea is taking too long for him to think about it, just after 2 days, 3 days, just ask, honey, I see that something is worrying you. What is worrying you? And then maybe he doesn't want to say. Later, maybe during the day, afternoon, he's going to say, oh, I'm going to just I love you, baby, blah, 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 kiss. And then when he's ready, like he's going to tell you, ish, this is what is troubling him. Level. And then you say, have you thought of, that's how you start the sentence. You are putting the idea in him on how to fix the solution, but you're not telling him, do this, do that. You are saying, oh, okay. Have you thought of 1, 2, 3? And then he's going to say, or he's not going to say anything, but he's now thinking about it. So now he's going to come back 3 days later as a hero to you and update you. You know, baby, you know that problem that I was having? She's like, yeah, you know, I thought of doing 1, 2, 3. You see now, it's as if it was his own idea. Because why? You did not tell him what to do. You said, have you thought of? Maybe, I don't know if I'm wrong. Don't say if I'm wrong, and don't make it an I thing. Make it a his thing, as if it's coming from him. So always start with the sentence, have you thought of? And by the way, blended family, August, I would really love you to be part of this. August, we're going to be having a wives conversation. Just wives only. And in September, we're going to be having a husband's conversation. Just husbands only. And then December, we're going to be having a couples ones where we're now putting you guys together. And then we'll see how 2026 will treat everyone thereafter.
Vele, this whole conversation is about how do we thrive in 2025. So I'm looking forward to that. Communicate them. I will share them with the rest of the people, and I will make sure that I make time to join. It's just that August for me, there's a big event that I do professionally, but I will chat. We will chat and see.
Okay. So yeah, just don't tell them directly. They don't like that. Just, you know, have you thought of there's a time to speak about something, there's a time to get the advice, there's a time where you have a conversation. So you give advice when you are on his chest. Yes, that's when you implant the advice. But you're not giving the advice, you are implanting it as if it belongs to him.
Okay. Rakadi, let's go to you. Asitako said that's so my mom, and she's been married with my dad for 37 years. I get Satata Mano.
Sesithatha ama-notes and kuleya ye-wives ngiyeza vele. I'll sit at the back. I won't say anything, but because I want to upgrade again and be a wife ngiyeza.
Yes, and you go August. You have plenty of time to plan this.
Yes, I'm coming. Even if you host it at the farm, it will even be better.
It will even be better.
Yeah, it will even be better.
At the farm, we are hosting a spiritual retreat in April, which is going to be from the 18th of April until the 25th. So if you'd like to be part of it, it's going to be amazing. Please do come contact me.
I'll inbox you.
Yeah, inbox me. It's on my other thingy, on my other account.
I can't keep up.
You're going to learn to open the doors of wealth and everything that has. It's a lot that you're going to learn. Please do come in numbers. Do come in numbers. Though it's limited because we can't accept more than 50 people.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, 50 is a good number.
Yeah. It has to be a manageable amount of people.
Yes.
Okay, Rakani, insights.
My insights from today is that we cannot be independent next because we need direction. And the unfortunate thing, like you were saying, other people are solution givers. And I think you saw in my comment, I said, if Nzwaki and Caramela are solution givers at work, probably they've got mean bosses. Because eventually it's as if you're showing off, you want to show go to the MBA or whatever it is that you had studied, and now
it might actually make your life miserable. And I think it's exactly what Pearl said. If you're always giving solutions to your man, he eventually hates you because now you're not giving him a platform to come up with those solutions. So it's always good to share notes and observations, like I think she was saying, depending on how you want to phrase it. But yes, most I think the case that you were even talking about, where the woman had taken over things, it's those strengths that you have that you do not see that in a relationship they become a weakness, because eventually Umdletshe is the person that has opened the case, or Umdletshe becomes the person who is a perpetrator or a victim when it comes to court. And so even if you are the significant other, the minute you show your head more, then it disempowers Umdletshe as your partner. And therefore it might actually even water down the case. But for as long as you are the advisor at the back of the same way that we never know the minister's advisors unless if there is a case or something and then something is referred to them. But under normal circumstances, they've got advisors, but we never find out that they've got advisors because that's the structure and that's how society is like. And I guess also what I take out is that let's not also sit and observe for a long time where the relationship between your partner and their ex deteriorates, because then it allows the kids to parent themselves. And when kids start parenting themselves and having a mind of their own that is not guided, because we can't say we channel kids, but that is not guided, then they end up being toxic and making this whole thing toxic. The same way that I said, every child wants their parent to be together. It doesn't matter how horrible they may find the other parent to be, it is still their wish that you can both be healthy and come back together. And they take it as their own responsibility to bring you guys together. So if you are not wary of that, you would find that they come and say something and you might be angry at the other partner, not knowing that it's their independent way of thinking. But lastly, can we strive for peace, but not creating that war within us? Can we also be, genuine and open and transparent with our partners so that they know that their lack of leadership, what does it do to us? How does it affect our home? How does it affect our relationship with them? If they are delaying, if they are dragging, and if they are playing victim for too long, because sometimes we just have to find a softer way of making sure that people become accountable, because you are not the parent. If you are the step parent, you are not the parent. And unfortunately, legally, you are not recognized unless if it's maintenance time. Because like Caramela was saying, when the husband can't maintain and he's frustrated and the baby mama is being difficult, the unfortunate thing is you have to maintain on behalf of that husband, especially if your contract is in community of property. That is the unfortunate thing. So even though we advise people to go into blended families with a contract that is clear, delineating responsibilities, especially because there are other kids involved, but people still take it to heart that they should go into in-community of property. And the unfortunate thing is you remain liable. So if your partner is not working and you are the only one trying to hold the fort financially, unfortunately, the other parent, the co-parent of your partner, has got every right to go to maintenance court and ask you to take care of those finances. So we cannot downgrade the life of the other child just because your partner is not working. And those are the things that we have to be wary of, to say, how big is our heart, how big is our love, and how deep is it, such that we know that through thick and thin, if we are together and doing this thing together, let's do it together and let's plan for the future. And that future, even in 2025, is for us to do things together to help each other. And yes, have a community and start. I think the one thing that we didn't talk about here is finances when it comes to this whole thing. But can we financially empower ourselves to understand how we structure our finances and what vehicles we work under. Because the beautiful thing is there are vehicles that we can use where all the kids can benefit equally, and they're tax deductible. But when we don't know about them, we're not going to be putting them in place. We're not going to be putting them in place for all the kids to benefit. And this is where we're going to, have the co-parents now dragging each other in other directions. So let's disempower ourselves such in a way that we don't always have control over everything, but there are vehicles that can empower us, that we can yield control to, that will manage our kids' finances. And even in this thing of schools and which schools we go to, if we've got such vehicles, they can define exactly how the kids are being equal and equally treated. And that is exactly the direction that we need to empower ourselves on as parents, as individuals, and therefore as families. But I know that we didn't touch much about that. And the witchcraft one, it came and went. We will probably have a separate one about it, because sometimes you tell people that, no, you must pray. But if there is the inherent fear that is sitting with you, knowing that something dropped when your stepkid came, or, when your child comes back, you have to clean their bags and their shoes and whatever as they come into the house. Some of those things are real, and those are the kind of things that we live with. But we need to learn not to yield into the fear, because you might be killed by fear while this child is just not even having anything like that. If you're not a smoker and the child has got ganja and some cigarette finickies coming out of their bag, you may think it's muti, and if that child has just started smoking and you don't know that. So those are the things that we should be wary of. But at least let's strive to rebuild these Black families, because we can see that the biggest percentage of blended families are Black, but also because we are the majority inhabitants of our country, and perhaps even in others. But yes, we know that there has been a system that had been put in place in the world to make sure that they dismantle our family structure. So let's do our best to go back into rebuilding that, showing our kids how love can be, and hope that in the next generation we will do less of blended families, and eventually we will come back to nucleus families. But yeah, let me end it there, my love. Thanks so much for the invitation, even though I came late, but at least I got a huge chunk of the conversation. Thanks a lot.
It's a pleasure, and I thank you for joining, and I think you came at the perfect time. As much as, yes, you missed the first introductory part, but I think you came at a perfect time, because I think Tswaki really needed to get your insights and your views and your experience on the matter. It's a very tough matter, and I think the world is so tough on stepmoms. I even think stepdads have it easier, but the world is just super tough on stepmoms, because when you listen to what is happening here, if Mtwaki's co-parent, the bio mom, had gone to social media like that other lady did and said, "This is what this woman is doing, blah blah blah," I'm telling you now that everybody will be fighting Mtwaki, and no one will hear her side no matter how much, because there's just this stigma that all stepmoms are evil. But then we tend to look away at what is actually causing that tension between stepmoms and their children and the other co-parent. What is their contribution? And I say to this to us now as the biological moms, that let's look at our hearts. Let's look at how we do things. Someone on the chat actually, even I think it was it you in Tlanta, I'm not sure, was saying that I don't even try to influence my kids. If they talk badly about their father, I reprimand them. If they talk badly about their stepmom, I reprimand them. That's what I do even with my daughter. Because yes, the child is not always gonna get along with their stepmother. They're not always gonna get along with their father. But if you see those moments of weakness and you use them as leverage for you now to win your child's love, you are wrong. It is absolutely wrong. That is not the way to go. You are the one that's supposed to show them that, yes, we are people. And at times, we're not always going to be jolly. We're not always going to be happy. And if your stepmom reprimands you, it's okay. They're supposed to, because now you cannot misbehave in that household. Who are you to say that your stepmom cannot ask you to wash dishes? You must. And even if there's a helper in the house and your stepmom says you must wash dishes, it's okay because they're teaching you discipline and how to take care of yourself. But now, no, if you are the other way around, you'll say to your child, no, it's fine. Uyakujwayela angithi ukhona u-anti akawashi ngani yena izitsha. No, guys, no. You're implanting the wrong things in your children. Caramela, any last comments from you?
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm so inspired by all the comments. I'm inspired by you. I'm inspired by Lerato. I'm inspired by Pearl. I'm inspired by Mr. Mdleche.
I will ask you
I
to
pray,
close
yes.
once I close the session, because I see you asked to close in prayer. You can do that when after Umdleja and I, then you can close for us in prayer. But now it's just closing comments,
Yes.
please.
All right. So, all the comments, I think I also picked up a lot of advice and a lot of how we should be doing things. And I hear what you're saying with reprimands and all. I strongly believe ukuthi umntwana, the way we grew up, umntwana ukhuliswa community, and that's that. Me being doesn't deprive me of instructing or raising the child with love. And raising the child with love will include all of that. Ukumreprimanda, ukumkhomba indlela, ukumlaya, ukumfundisa ukuthandaza, ukumfundisa uNkulunkulu, ukumfundisa the right way to go, how to speak to people, how to respect other human beings. And I think that's one thing that biological mothers do not teach to their kids when they go to other families as well. We rush to pointing out our mistakes of other families instead of raising our kids to be better people when they get to those people. Not because or it's an intention, but we overlook that part. Ukuthi mawufika lapho uziphathe kahle. It's not about how they're going to speak about you. It's not about how they're going to, it's about you representing me as well, la uyakhona. And that's another important part. And I think that's another parenting guide that we might need to look at, of how do we guide children, whether they are our stepkids, whether they are our own biological kids. Ukuthi manifika emzini yabantu niziphathe kahle. Omunye nomunye umuntu, whether you're going to your dad's place, it's not only about stepmom, but everyone else who's around you. Esikolweni, la uyakhona, emsebenzini, la sho ukuthi every person that you come across, you need to respect in a certain way, speak to them in a certain way, you know. So I think that was a highlight for me when it comes to raising kids, whether they're yours or not. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, love conquers all, someone said. And I think that's why my slogan is blended in love, because love brought us here, but love will also keep us here. And love will also be the one thing that will help our kids to just grow and thrive in a loving home environment. And all we're trying to do is just spread the love. But there's just so much toxicity that actually takes away from the love that you want to give as a step parent. I see Shashka is also complaining about something similar, where friends and other people influence their kids, and it's that's the problem. And you're always just trying to be loving and kind, but all these influences, they really take away from the loving environment. Babum Dech, when?
Sangazela.
Yebo.
Hey, ngiyabonga, you guys are giving us hope thina ezingashadile to wanting to get married. It's positivity. This is what I've always been wishing and praying for. We tired of noisemakers, barking dogs, discouraging marriage all the way, and yet marriage is a beautiful thing. For me personally, ngifuna ukubonga abantu abakwazile ukuphawula kulo life. It really gives hope nethemba ukuthi the generation we thought is done with the issue of marriage. No, it's not yet over until it's over. And I don't think it's even going closer to being over, because at the end of the day, we still have abantu abafana nawe Kabazela, who are actually saying, no man, as much as it might look like it's sour, but it's beautiful in marriage, in whatever case that you can be. But my 2 cents is, I don't think a lot of us do pray to God about our marriages and our problems. The first thing that comes to mind when we have problems is court cases, state, human beings, uAntu, Sbanban. How many of us can say they have a problem and they fast 1 week, 3 days, 2 days, 4 days, 1 day, and cry for their partner's well-being? I just want to say, you cannot take a BMW car to a Toyota garage because the Toyota garage did not manifest or produce the BM. Yeah, that's a garage, but that's a garage for a different model of a car. At the end of the day, who created marriage? It is not the court, it is not the law, it is not psychologists, it is not a homeopath practitioner, it is not any person that think they are educated to do certain things. Now, when your kids, whether it's co-parenting or whatever the case might be, whenever there's a problem, how many of us, don't answer me, but answer in your hearts, with how many of us do kneel down in prayer and say and sigh and cry and say, "Nkulunkulu, marriage is under attack. Let us stop fighting as men and women and kids. Marriage is under attack." You should be able to see that marriage is under attack. You should be able to see the devil in your partner. Ningezwe kahle. When something goes off, I don't mean that way enizoyi-analyze ngayo. It's when something goes off, you should be able to identify, be wise enough to see when the devil speaks. When the devil speaks, that's when you need to go to God, because to be honest, again, uShaka, who created marriage, Agbono Kokobetu, who created marriage, God created marriage. And why did he create marriage? He created marriage so that his character can be seen amongst his people. So that is why ngithi you guys are giving me hope nethemba ukuthi it is possible ukuthi ongomani omsindazi sikwazi ungena. Why? This is what we need. This is the purpose of a marriage, to be isibonelo to the next person who is not in that particular situation. So in each and every case, yeah, ngizogadla ngokuthi I don't think we are doing more in prayer. I think we're doing more in wanting advice from people. But the question is, did you go to God before you come to Umdletshe? Kahle kahle, you don't need to go to Umdletshe when you go to God. Let me be honest with you. You don't need to come to Umdletshe when you go to God as your first priority. Now we are here discussing all these things and say, try this and that and that. And somebody might say, I have prayed. No, you did not. Because God is the best option that you can ever have. And the situation that we are facing right now are situations where we are being tested and tried and being put in the fire for our characters. We are here, we should not give up. We should be in a situation where we say, "Nkulunkulu, whatever I'm facing, teach me to have a better character." Marriage will make many people lose heaven. Marriage will make other people enter heaven. Why? Because of how you have run your marriage. U-auntie nogogo nomkhulu, akungabi option. Let us create situations where we have personal relationships with God, personal impact with God. You don't need a pastor, guys. You don't need even an evangelist. You don't need a so-called learned person to tell you about marriage. You need God, because he is the one that created marriage. So if that BMW car has a problem, should you take it to your Toyota garage? Am I clashing and bashing people that are giving each other advice? No, I'm saying the first priority to every problem that we are supposed to have, it is God. I did not create marriage. I'm just a healthy practitioner, a sinner who has many weaknesses, but the person that is not a sinner, that is able to correct the problems, all the things that we are talking about. The court cannot change someone's heart, but it can just enforce the law. But God can cook the heart of someone. God can cook the heart of someone who had a terrible heart and change that heart to become a better person. So in your married life, guys, you need to invite God each and every second and every moment. I've seen it kumakhumalo nobaba uMdletshe abazali abangizalayo in their 47 years of marriage. In that particular way, you will ought to understand ukuthi we are black people, we are family oriented people. Let us run away from negativity. Let us stay with positive energies. The more we speak positive energies, the more we become successful. Ukuthi unenkinga unana kangilaleli guqa phansi ngedolo uthi uNkulunkulu indoda onginike yona. uNkulunkulu unkosikazi onginike yena. uNkulunkulu abantwana onginike bona, because on that judgment day you are going to be asked, I gave you a husband, I gave you a wife, I gave you ingane, what did you do about it? You stepped back, you didn't do anything about it. So marriage is under attack, guys. All these things that are happening, let us see the problems we are having beyond what is happening right now, and always put uNkulunkulu first in before you come to Mdletshe with qualifications and everything like that. Go to God and say, God, this situation is beyond anyone who was created by you, but rather take control of this situation. And what you are doing by those words, you're fighting the devil. I told you, Mam Kiza, I asked you a question. Do you realize that you're fighting the devil by blended families that you just started? Yeah, you are fighting him because he wants to destroy families. He wants to destroy, and when indirectly you are actually fighting the devil, he will make sure that you won't be able to be successful. And at the end of the day, we need that particular impact and a way to always call upon his name whenever we are in crisis. Not because he bought us, he gave us house and money. No, whenever you are in crisis, because psychology will tell you character is revealed in a crisis. So when there is a crisis, your character is being revealed, not for you to fight, but for you to change the way you view things. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you, thank you. You know what I take away from this as you're speaking, this song keeps on playing in my mind, a hymn from school, from church. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all good things shall
Definitely.
be handed over to you. That's what it says. And I think that's what we need to realize, that at the center of everything it is God. But also in putting God in the center of everything, it's listening. I think we good in praying. A lot of us pray. We pray in our hearts. We pray out loud. We light a candle. We pray. Some of us, we go up to the mountains. We pray. You know, people do a lot of things, pray in a lot of different ways. Pray every night, read the Bible every night. But I think the problem is listening, waiting on God and listening to God so that you can get those resolutions that you need. Because not only does God hear you, but you need to hear him and his guidance so that you know what you need to implement. Because without listening, then you don't know how to implement it and how to make things happen in your life. And they say God helps those who help themselves. But you don't just help yourself, Nje, out of nowhere. It's through listening to him, and when he gives you that guidance and knowing, being able to discern or differentiate the voice of the voice of the Lord and the voice of the world. And I won't even bring Satan into this. Voice of the Lord and the voice of the world, knowing which voice to listen to. But you only get that when you literally bring God into your space, when you connect with God, but listening to his answers and implementing those things. Don't be fearful, because sometimes you're very fearful. And I think, you know, when it comes to what Caramela and Twake were saying, Guti, Untwage, on the other hand, there's not much, because I think the husband is still holding back. With Caramela's husband, they actually went on and did what they needed to do. And it's that fear that, like, what if my family falls apart? Because it's scary. It's scary to go and fight for things in spaces where you're not familiar, and fighting for things in ways that seem also like it doesn't align with who I am to do that. It doesn't align with my values. But now you're losing the biggest value, which is your family. And I want to add on to what you're saying, that God, not God, I mean, the world is fighting against Black people unity and Black families. We are in
Yeah.
Black families because already the first marriages that were meant to happen or that had happened were already under attack. And now we've been given second chances because yes, those then failed because obviously for whatever reason. I also think our eyes were also not opened at that time, even as just a group of people, black people, to see that actually we are under attack. Now we have a second chance, and I think what Pearl has really shared with us, it's a lot of pearls of wisdom on how to keep things going and how to carry yourself as a wife. Yes, there's also things that men need to do. And she doesn't take away from that. There's things that men need to do. Men need to lead a certain way. But let's not forget that in our country, specifically South Africa, our men were taken away from their families. No, requests are closed. Our men were taken away from their family. Family unity did not become a priority. So much that in today's age, when you are in a workplace and you say, I need to move with my husband or I need to move with my wife as a black person, it's like, but why? And even your fellow black colleagues will not understand why you want to relocate with your husband or your wife and your children. But when a white person says it, it's and I'm not comparing black and white, but when other cultures say it, it's normal because they've entrenched in us that they need to be united, they need to be family. So I'm not even saying that it's a racist thing, but it's because they have entrenched that in their lifestyles, in the way that they live, that even you as a black person, you would think that a white family needs to be together more than your own black family because your mom was taken away to go take care of a white family's kids, and they spend time there and then they only go come and see you once in 3 months. But that's okay. Those black children are okay without their mom. They're okay without their mother. But these white kids it needs to, and that's how it was entrenched in us. Those small cultural ways of living were the ways that we were influenced to believe that we don't deserve united families, and it's normal to not have united families. It's normal for a black child to grow up without their parents. It's normal for a black child to grow up with their grandmother. It's not normal. It's not okay. And now we've been given second chances as blended families to do better. But then I also, in that same breath, say we have a youth that is coming up now, that is growing now. And I was so sad to see, I won't even say from where, but an 18-year-old now having a baby again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there we go again, repeating this cycle. Let's I wish there was a way that we as this community can find a way of teaching and influencing kids, those 13-year-olds. I mean, you heard the pregnancy stats, you heard, but you also heard that the reasons why these kids are pregnant, majority of them is from older people, some of them it's from their peers, but it's because they don't have the guidance and we're not influencing them enough. We're not having these conversations with the youngsters to teach them the importance of taking care of yourself, waiting. Chenza's not here. She always talks about sexual immorality. You know, waiting until it's the right time, waiting for the right partner, waiting for marriage. And then when you are in marriage, both of you, it takes both of you. It's not just the woman who needs to hold the sword by the sharp edge. I don't know how to say it's kasut. It's not only the woman, the men too must hold that sharp edge because you both need to compromise and sacrifice for that marriage. But if it's only one person pulling that marriage, it's not going to work. It's not just for women to do that. It's not just for men to do it. And I loved what you said, Caramela, as well. Ukuthi, It's we need to support our men because they're meant to lead. And without our support and without providing peace for them and a safe space for them, they won't be able to lead if they're not emotionally and mentally okay. And then Pearl built onto that by saying that what does that support look like for us women? What does that support look like so that we have good leaders? Because most of our men did not have their fathers at home to teach them leadership, to show them and be examples of what leadership is in a household. Guys, we've got a lot of work to do. And, our topic today was how do we thrive in 2025 in co-parenting? And we touched on a lot of topics. We touched on a lot of issues, and we had Draghi come in, share her story. And I think Mtwaki's story touched on a lot of issues around co-parenting, around selecting schools, which is what we started talking about. How do you select a school? Because yes, I don't mind my child going to a private school, but a private school that costs 180 per annum, it's maybe too much. Why don't we consider a Curo that's maybe 60,000 rand per annum? Or why don't you consider a multiracial school, because maybe we're both working and we can afford a multiracial school in this area where a child can be exposed to A, B, and C, because we're also at different levels in our lives. And I was in a live yesterday and some woman was talking about like how when you're dating and someone takes you on a date, you need to go back to your friends, and the person has to take you to certain places so that you can go to your friends and say he took me there. That is the problem. Because now you comparing friend so and so, who, I mean, I think one of my friends was here earlier. One of my friends are accountants and CAs, and their husbands are also working great jobs. You cannot compare and say now put this pressure on your husband who is not a CA and say now he must also perform the same miracles with what money? Now you also want to take we need to understand the circumstances that we're in, whether we have broken up, whether we're still together, the pressure that we put on each other, even this pressure from men, because I feel like we are addressing women on the pressure from men of women to perform certain things at home when women are working full-time jobs. It's also tough on women. And I think the world we live in, we also need to understand this world that we live in and what this world we live in has to offer and what we're willing to sacrifice as a couple because of the world we live in. Because yes, some of us here are stay-at-home moms, but we find ways of making money at home. And I'll make an example of Pearl because she's spoken about this openly, where in a way she's a stay-at-home mom, but she's working at her farm, and there's things that she can do to generate income at the farm, but she is present for the kids, and her husband is the one that goes out and works. But that's their compromise. And even with us now who are in the cities where you have to both work in order to maintain a certain economic stance because that's what you both want. But in order to do that, your wife can't come home every day and cook dinner every day. Unless if you say, this is the level as my wife that I think maybe we should end. Maybe end up in such a position that's not going to be so demanding for you. But is your wife willing to do that? Even actually, these are just discussions that should happen before you even date. But I mean, before you even get married, whilst you are dating. Is she actually the type of woman who is career driven and wants to be a CEO? And am I the man who can date and marry a woman who wants to be a CEO? Because a CEO, it means that she's traveling the world. It means that there'll be weeks where she's not at home. It means that even when we have children together, I will have to be the one who stays behind with the kids at times and takes the kids to school, because there are things that she needs to do in her workplace to fulfill that. So let's just find that balance. In this year, I would like to urge us fathers, because a lot of fathers come on this platform and they say, guys, I don't see my kids, or guys, I'm struggling with this. We see courts work. It means she can be bossy. That too. But what we were saying also within this conversation, it doesn't mean just because you go to a workplace and you're a big boss, that when you come at home, you must be the big boss. Urakadi actually painted it nicely. She said, sometimes your strengths in the workplace can be detrimental for your marriage. So that's the lessons that we need to take too. But going back to the topic of how do we thrive in our co-parenting journey, let's have empathy. Let's understand that we're all going through something. We're all going through things. We all are living a life that is challenging. Let's communicate openly and honestly with our exes. And if we find ourselves with exes that it is impossible to communicate with, let's still have that empathy to understand that some people will always have that victim mindset, and they will not walk away from it until they are ready. And it's not for me to point it out that they need to heal or they need to do this, but how do I protect my space while I'm raising these kids with the person who is, they call it in blended family spaces, they call it a high conflict bio parent. So there's a high conflict bio mom, there's a high conflict bio dad. If you're dealing with someone who is high conflict, always in conflict with you in your parenting journey, learn the skills of how to deal with that person. There is a lot of resources on the internet on how to deal with the high conflict bio mom, how to deal with the high conflict bio dad, how to carry yourself, how to create peace for yourself. Read up on that so that you can see how to separate the two. There are options like co-parenting is an option. How you co-parent is also important. Setting the boundaries, communicating with that co-parent. This is where I want to start and end in terms of co-parenting. This is what I can afford in terms of co-parenting. This is the time that I have, and this is when I'm available. If all else fails, try the court system. We see it does work, sometimes to our own detriment, sometimes it actually works for us. So you never know. And last is also about finances. And then lastly, also understanding that, yes, if you're in a blended family, it's not going to be easy. There are challenges. There are challenges that are caused because of high conflict, but there are also challenges because we're also dealing with ourselves. So I made an example when I started this live that for me, this festive season was difficult because I spent only the first 2 weeks with my daughter and my biological child. And then the rest of the month, I spent it with my in-laws. And it's not easy to not spend time with your kids on Christmas. You know, I think, was it Mtswaki was saying that they have, oh no, Caramela, they have the kids over the festive season. That parent every Christmas, on Christmas Day, not every, on Christmas Day, when they can't spend Christmas with their kids, trust me, they are mourning. Trust me, they are feeling guilty. Trust me, they wish they were with their children. And to navigate those feelings, it's not easy, but it's important in all of this. Like Ubabum Mdletshe was closing for us. In all of this, make God the center of everything. As a bio parent, I mean, I think if I didn't have God in my life, probably Nami, I would have been high conflict over the festive season, calling every minute, every hour, trying to control situations at my ex's home because I was feeling like I wish I could, you know, I probably even would have bought a gift and posted it there so that at least my child has a gift from me too, you know? Yes. Not spending time on the holidays with your kids, it's not nice. But you also need to encourage them, especially when they start crying and saying, no, but I actually wish, because they need to have that experience. They need to, those memories that they build with the other parents, they're also just as important as the memories that they build with you. They are just as important. There is no parent who is more important than the other. And I know the world makes it seem as if the mom is more important and the mom is the one that has a stronger bond because they've carried the child for 9 months before it came into this world. We heard from Caramela, her husband was not okay, absolutely not okay, when he couldn't see his kids for months. So imagine the men that don't see their kids for years. And I did say this on one of my posts, that men will not put it on social media. Hey, my kids have been taken away from me. I can't see my kids. Somebody must fight this for me. And then the whole world comes and fights for them. Because already when a man says that, they are asked, what did you do? Why did you leave her? Did you cheat on her? Are you paying child support? First and foremost, are you paying child support? The world is not kind to these men, especially the ones who are unemployed, especially the ones who are not earning enough, especially the ones who are earning less than the mother of their children. The world is not kind to them. So let's have empathy. Us as moms, we have our own emotions. The stepmoms also have emotions. Stepdads have emotions. Biodads have emotions. We are dealing with human beings, guys. First and foremost, we are all human. We are all impacted. We all have feelings. Akekho ngcono, akekho ozwela more than the other, because kuba nalento le, especially when it comes to someone maybe who's less financially stable and the other one is more financially stable, where people think that because the other one has more money they don't have feelings. No, money doesn't build feelings, guys. Money doesn't make you it's not a barrier, it's not a it's ihaw. Kuthiwa ihaw ngesiZulu. What is ihaw? Oh gosh. But it's not a shield. It doesn't shield you from pain. Just because you have money doesn't mean that you don't have feelings. So let's consider that. Let's have empathy this year. Let's grow together. I think we've had a few tips on how to do better, both as wives and husbands in our relationships, in our marriages. How do we support our partners? How do we become better bio parents? How do we become better step parents to our children? It's most of the time her choice to bring the kids with us over the festive season. Oh yes, no, you did mention it's about also her being able to have her freedom over the festive season. But I'm just saying that in some instances, yes, some people will make that choice, but in most instances, not spending time with your children over the festive season, it's not nice. And yes, they'll say in a co-parenting plan, New Year's Eve, maybe you alternate the holidays. Some will alternate the whole of December. Some will alternate Christmas and New Year. But whether you're alternating in whichever way, it is still tough. And I know probably for men it's just as tough, but because indoda kumele ibe strong, indoda kumele ingakhombisi ama emotions, men will just act as if it's okay, kanti they're not. Guys, have a good week ahead. We will see each other again next week. Like I said to you, I will be posting blogs on my website for us to be able to just engage on the topics better. The link is on my bio. So you go on my bio, you click on the link, it takes you directly to my website. If you scroll down, you will see all the blogs. But then if you go on the menu, you can go to, I think it's Blended Families, Blended in Love, and then under Blended in Love there's blogs. But if you scroll down, you immediately get to the latest blog. I think I'll have to find a way of saying Saturday topic and then put the topic and the blog, because this week I usually post in the past 4 months. I've been posting about 3 blogs a week. So now I had to stop, because I'm like, if people come and then they see a different blog, how are they going to relate? So I'm going to put Saturday blog, and then I'm going to put in the topic and my thoughts, so that when we start the discussion, at least someone, you've all wrapped your heads around it, and we also are able to stick to the topic. So that's the first thing. And then secondly, on my website as well, you will find that I've written a kiddies book on how to embrace the different characters in the family. And this goes with what Shaksha was saying earlier, that the bio kids, so when a mom comes with kids in a blended family, their kids think that they are better than the kids, than the father's kids, and there's that. So that first book of mine actually talks to that, but in a way that is relatable to children, in a way that is positive, not focusing on negativity, but focusing on embracing our uniqueness in a blended family. As a child in a blended family, understanding we're all different, we all come from different places, we have interracial relationships, we have intercontinental relationships. So have a look at that. I do have it on my website, and it's what you call this, it's a ebook for now. We're still working on how we're gonna get it published. We found a publisher now, so we're still working on getting it published. The other one, technology is a problem. So I had launched the second one, which talks also about a young girl just navigating having a father who's inconsistent and a mom who sort of like bashes the father for his inconsistency, and how she copes with that, and how she can find her escape or her peace in all of that. So have a look at that as well. I will try to work on the technology, because I loaded the first one, it was easy. Now when I try to load the second one on my website, it drama G. Let me off. Sorry, my Bluetooth is off because someone is driving. Yeah, so just have a look at the website. I will try my best to load the second ebook. They are not free. So I do apologize. They are not free. They are $80 for the ebook. And once I do get them printed, I will try to get the print version as well to be as affordable as possible so that it can be easily accessible to all of you. I will try to make it affordable. I have 5 that I've written. The issue is the animation and the artwork that I'm struggling with because I'm not a graphic designer. So that's where I'm actually struggling. Yes, please. But eventually, when I do get them launched and published, I will be having a set of 5. And then that set of 5 printed books will be sold as a set. And once I'm able to get that as ebooks as well, I will be selling them as sets. And then each one will be sold as a separate book if you want a separate book. But I would love you to have the set because it tells different stories and they've got different scenarios that one can actually start engaging on. All righty then. I wish you a good Saturday, a peaceful Saturday, a peaceful week ahead, filled with love and joy. And I hope what we've spoken about today will help you just deal with certain issues that you encounter in this week. I have not forgotten that Caramella said she wanted to close in prayer. I don't usually close in prayer. But I appreciate the fact that I have someone to close in prayer. And I won't share why. One day I'll share. It's not that deep why I don't close it. Maybe I should just say. Maybe I should say, we all have our own insecurities. For me, praying in front of people is an insecurity. So let me put it there. I pray, I love God, I can talk about God, but I can't pray in front of people. So that's why, guys, you find me that I never close in prayer. And those who know me from other prayer sessions, you will find that I'm the most quiet one because I will pray, I will mute, and I will pray. So just so you know, we all have our own insecurities. I am working on it. It's something that I want to, fix with myself because if you want to, it's something that I need to work on, just that confidence. Because I've always thought my relationship with God, especially with prayer, it's personal, it's just between me and Him. And I'm realizing that, it's okay to do it in public spaces. So I shall learn. But yes, Pearl, if I had forgotten about you, thank you for teaching us that the neck moving on its own, it's going to cause a lot of strain and hurt, and it's also going to frustrate the head. And that's why sometimes when the body doesn't work well, you end up having headaches when the body is not in sync. Uphathwa ikhanda. And if ikhanda lingekho right, uphethwe ikhanda, and you've got headaches, you can't function well. You can't produce the work you need to produce. You can't be fully present for the people you need to be present for. Caramella also actually started off with the exact same messaging. Ukuthi the head needs to be okay for everything else in the body to function. Because all the neurons, at where they connected, with them somewhere here, the spinal cord all the way down, but it starts from here. Yes, Lee, I'll go back to biology. Mr. Mdlejo, fellow Fundis, where does it come from? Briefly, in 10
It starts.
seconds.
It starts from the C7, C6, C8 spinal cord area. Well, from your neck.
From
Yabona la klana khona ikhanda and the neck, yeah, here, and then it goes down, yeah.
Yabo. So, and even that connection, you see how close this connection is, guys.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm just
That's
saying,
marriage
I
right
might be
there.
talking about neurons, but it's true. The connection
Yeah,
is close because as the neck, you are that close to the head.
yeah, definitely.
And if there's
Ufundile
a
nkosami, uyifunde vile le nto nkosami mamkhezi. Ufundile.
biology. But thank you for clarifying that. But you see that closeness as well, that if you have a break between the two, one can't function without the other, but they also need to be very close to each other in order for them to be able to thrive and conquer the world and be by bizangan lama couples, liba power couples. Caramela, sorry for taking long. Please close for us in prayer. And thank you for staying in right through till the end. Oh, it seems like she's on a call now. Yeah, but oh, C6, no C7.
What?
If you can close for us.
Okay, let's pray. Father, we thank you. Father, we thank you for life. We thank you for all that you have blessed us with. Usathembekile wena Baba njengoba wasithembisa ezweni lakho. Father, we give you the glory, we give you the praise. Messi Olungileyo, please bless each and everyone in this live chat, wherever they are and whatever situations they are in. Father, we come to you as sinners and we ask you for forgiveness in all the wrong that we have done, consciously and subconsciously so. Father, we pray that in all situations that we come across, may you strengthen us, may you guide us, may you give us wisdom and the patience and the understanding through it all. Messiah, strengthen us to always turn to prayer through it all and not to the world. May we turn to you for comfort. May we turn to you for solutions and for intervention. Kukho wonke Nkosi, we pray for our children, those who are our own and those who are our partners' children. You have trusted us with their lives. We have trusted us with them, Nkosi, and may surely goodness and mercy follow them all the days of their lives. You say in your word that the kingdom of God belongs to them. Father, give us the wisdom to raise them in your path. May we have the patience for them, and above all, let us love them the way you have loved us, Nkosi. Father God, may we understand that we fight with spirits and not with the flesh. May you be with us through all the spiritual fights. Bless imishado yethu Nkosi, the relationships and the single parents. May we conquer our obstacles with wisdom. May we be the Proverbs 31 women. May our men be the Ephesians 5:25 husbands. May we know our place in the homes and may we perform our duties to the best of our abilities. May we be willing to learn and gain knowledge in all situations. Baba siyabonga, another host that you have blessed, that you have given the knowledge and the strength to reach out to all of us. Messi Olungileyo, ngicela umbusise kuko konke akwenzayo, Nkosi yami, bless her. Baba siyabonga that all that we have prayed for today, we have received it in the mighty name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Siyabonga Baba. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that beautiful prayer. And I just pray and hope that all of you will be able to just thrive in this week. And even with you, Ntwaki, like I think Rakhadi had mentioned, you know what? Prayer will help, but also you need to know in terms of your church or your environment, how do you strengthen your home? How do you protect your home? Whether it's holy water, whether it's praying, maybe it's praying in every room in your house every day. You go to each and every room and you pray for it. But also some things, because you're going through so much, may also be affecting you even mentally as well, where you just like, where does this come from? Where's this person's heart? Are they doing something to me? So that as well could also be something to just pray on, that if there is something, God must reveal it. If there's nothing, then God must also reveal that to you. If there's nothing happening and maybe it's just because of the stress that you are feeling that is causing that. Caramella. Wasn't there a song that Caramella and Chocolata? Ooh-wee. Thank you for the beautiful prayer. We thank you for enlightening our lives. We thank you for the messages that you shared, but that beautiful prayer that is just giving us a head start to the week, a positive head start to the week. We truly appreciate it. I truly appreciate all my speakers today. Rakadi, Nomdleje, no Pearl, always here. Pearl today, hey, as you smacked me. You smacked me hard. You literally say, get back to your place. I know I've also like said, let me step back and allow things to happen. But every now and again, I feel like I should be doing more to assist my husband sometimes in his struggles. But I appreciate you because you smacked me right in the face, like, hey, it's not your place. Know your place. And I think a lot of us as well have been enlightened in terms of let's know our place in our relationships. I thank Rakadi always bringing in some insightful ways and practical ways on how you can implement these things in your household. Ntswaki, for sharing your story. I truly appreciate you. Those in the chat as well. You know, we've had active members since I started the live today. This is my first live this year. I always want to say financial year because of work, but it's this year. It's my first live, and to have almost 80, 90 people at a certain stage on the live, it's only God's work, it's not my work. I appreciate you on the chats, the insights that you give, because we do read them, we do try to elaborate further on them, you know, based on our understanding, but your insights on the chat, they're really helpful. For those who have given us gifts, we appreciate your gifts. It is January. We know a lot of people are struggling financially. So to get one little gift as a token of appreciation, we appreciate it. You know, we know other countries around the world, countries outside of Africa, they get paid for likes on TikTok. We don't get paid for likes on TikTok. And even the gifts on TikTok, they're not much. But for me, in terms of finances, but for me, it's the appreciation. You know, showing appreciation, showing that you're here, showing that you're active. It warms our hearts. I know I've seen some people who are new on TikTok. A lot of celebrities are coming to TikTok now, and they say on TikTok, like they see these gifts, even they're like, oh my gosh, what is that? Oh my gosh, that is so nice. I see a little heart. It just warms the heart to see those gifts. As much as, yes, monetary, it's not a lot, but it warms the heart to see those gifts. So I appreciate you. I appreciate those who have sat in the live the entire time. You know, we've got our top viewers, Angel, Lee Rant, Lerato, Bongiwe. I apologize for not being able to bring you up because of time. Kanye, Kobisa, Ntlantla, Khosigadi, Caramela, Lebuhang, Sbosh, you know, my regulars, KK, I saw her here. Menge, I saw her here. Guys, I truly appreciate you all, because I wouldn't be sitting here every Saturday if it wasn't for you and your encouragement. Every little thing that you do, the likes, the little hearts that pop up on the side, they mean a lot to us, because it means that someone is listening, someone is spending the time to tap. Because sometimes you sit with your earphones while someone is talking on a live and you're like lazy to press the like, you know, the likes and tap the screen. So the fact that someone is actually taking that initiative and doing that, it means a lot. I truly appreciate you all, and I thank you all for your time. Have a good week ahead. Bye.